And a little behind the scenes. Apparently, John Candy improvised like that whole scene with Catherine O'Hara. That was
Oh wow!
improvised that whole story, and he's
That's
great.
amazing.
So. Yeah, so we all know and love the late great John Candy. So we're gonna do our best to recast this role of Gus, the polka king of the Midwest, and let's see what you guys have. So I'll let you go last here on the first round. We'll rotate each time. So we'll start with Jordan this round. Jonathan, when we get the next roll, we'll start with you, and we'll kind of go around the horn. So yeah, just kind of circulate right around the horn there. So Jordan, you have the honors. Who's your pick for Gus?
All right. Well, you may see me throwing up some pop figures because I got a bunch of different pop figures. I don't have a Gus Polinski, but I do have an Irv, a Blitzer from Cool Running. So that's the closest thing. I have a John Candy of some sort, but but
it's freezing really bad.
That might be on your end, but yeah. For my pick, I picked someone who has a lot of charisma. He's got the body type. He's got damn near everything. I went with Jack Black for my pick. So, and Jack Black, he's also a musician, so you could picture him being the polka king in the Midwest. I think on a late night show, he brought some kind of little toy thing, and he's like doing like a saxophone thing on there, and then like just from things like School of Rock, especially, that's like a big one that I think that shows his character they could fit in a family role. I mean, he's in a lot of family movies, from like Jumanji to Goosebumps to Super Mario Brothers, being the voice of Bowser, and Nacho Libre. I think I said that. But yeah, but he just has all kinds of personality, even like being in Tenacious D for the music stuff. So I think that he could do it. But then you also see him like having some heart and just being like a normal guy and stuff like The Holiday, you know. Or like High Fidelity, that kind of stuff. So yeah, my pick is Jack Black.
All right, so Jordan goes with Jack Black. Jonathan, who you got?
All right, so Gus was one of the difficult ones. So I went through a mid-2010s route with all these actors. So this is a little blueprint of what I chose. So for Gus Polinski, I chose an actor of, that has some charisma, as, like Jordan said, with Jack Black, but also some warmth and also some dramatic chops in addition to musicality. And I chose John C. Reilly. Yeah, I chose John C. Reilly for Gus Polinski. Now, the reason why I chose Gus Polinski, I mean John C. Reilly as Gus, is because that he has that musical chops in him. I can buy him, playing a guitar or whatever instrument he would play in the movie, and also he is funny in other comedies, but also he has that dramatic chop and warmth, like in Paul Thomas Anderson's movies like Magnolia, Boogie Nights, and then there's Gangs of New York and Chicago. So yeah, I wanted that kind of balance, that nuance for Gus Polinski, like we see John Candy in the film. When he introduces himself to Kate, and then also has that exchange with Kate in the truck on his way to Chicago. So that's my choice, John C. Reilly.
All right. And I think Chris is having internet problems again. I hope it's not the whole show, but it's going to be unfortunate because then we're just going to have to keep going. Richie, what you got?
So obviously I wanted to get a guy that sort of, again, looks the part, but also I think could have that charisma, who's funny, and a guy I think who has musical chops, and I want to see more films. So I went with Bobby Moynihan. I just think I just want to see more stuff. I think he's pretty like his musical chops on like his SNL actors. And I just think he could have fun with the role here, and I think he would. I think he would do well bouncing off whoever he ultimately decided to play Kate and Kirsty, and I think he could be good at the improv if the lines improv, and I think he'd have fun with the role. So yeah, Bobby Moynihan.
Right, so just to recap for you, Chris, Jordan's got Jack Black so far.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Jonathan has John C. Reilly, and Richie is picking Bobby Moynihan so far. All right, so
thank you.
Give us your pick, Chris. What you got for Gus?
I'm going to go with Tom Hanks. I think we've seen Tom Hanks do very versatile characters. I feel like we've seen him do comedy really well. I feel like we've seen him do heart really well, especially like in movies like I kind of thought of like movies like Splash. He was awesome, and I kind of thought of that character or a Turner Hooch. I just think he would be an awesome character to play such a dynamic, awesome character.
Oh no.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, he's
Tom
freezing
Hanks.
up again a little bit, but yeah, he's got Tom Hanks on there. Hopefully, Chris doesn't have problems the whole show, otherwise it's going to be a little frustrating. All right, so we'll see what we got here. Yeah, so I with my whole cast, I kind of went with a mid '80s. Late 80s kind of time period, so kind of alternate because this is 1990, but maybe made it a little bit earlier, just with different cast members. So I'm still going kind of roughly at the same time period.
Hello?
I was the guy for Gus. Yeah, Chris, hope you're not bouncing
You're
in
there.
that time, buddy. All right. All right.
I don't know why I'm freezing up. I'm sorry.
All right, just disconnect.
That's all right.
I don't have any idea.
All right. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I went with the guy
Those
that's
all tabs too.
yeah. I wanted the guy that's kind of similar, got a similar style and a lovability and kind of a heart to him. But I think it's also important to kind of cast a character actor kind of sort of for this role. So I went with George Wendt from Cheers. So I think George Wendt is kind of got that same kind of ball of energy. I think he's kind of can be that instantly lovable dude that you kind of recognize. And he can be instantly like, oh, hey, Polka King of the Midwest. That's me, kind of that same just kind of vibes and energy. He's a very comedic actor, so he could easily do the comedy or the improv with whoever he's done. I don't really care so much about the musical thing. Like, I think you could easily fake that on screen. Like, I don't think John Candy's really playing, the flute thing he's playing in that movie. So I don't think that's necessarily like essential for that. I just think it's more about a likability and a heart, and somebody that can just bounce and have fun with the role and really stand out kind of late in the movie. So my pick is mainly from Cheers. Yeah, George Wendt around that time. So
we can certainly see him wearing the beer jacket that he has on.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
So there you go. All right, so just running down the picks one more time before we do our rankings and our voting. Jordan once again picked Jack Black. Jonathan going with John C. Reilly. Richie going with Bobby Moynihan. Chris going with Tom Hanks, and I went with George Wendt. So all right, Jordan, we'll start with you. You're 4-1. Start with 4, go to 1.
Man, this is difficult. Those are all really good picks. So it's like I could see like any of those doing it. Those guys doing it, man. Oh, we got to start out and make it tough. But I think just because I kind of see him as the least out of the group, that's kind of what I have to do for this one. Is probably Bobby Moynihan. I just see it, but maybe see some other ones a little more. So. And then my number 3, I have George Wendt. I mean, I think he could do it, but I just haven't seen like much of him outside of Cheers. So it'd be nice to maybe see more of him. But and then Tom Hanks, you know what? Like he doesn't always have to be like the bigger guy, kind of like overweight kind of guy necessarily. I think Tom Hanks could really pull it off. So he's my number 2. But I think John C. Reilly, I think that's a really good pick because that guy he can be like. He can bring humor. He can have heart. I can see him giving like a heart to heart with Kate McAllister and like maybe coming up with some kind of like stories about where he left his kid or something. So yeah, I'll go with John C. Reilly for number 1.
All right, Jonathan, what you got? 4-1.
Yeah, that would be kind of funny, actually. Okay, actually, a little similar to Jordan's. Actually, Bobby Moynihan. I haven't seen much of him outside of his SNL, stint. I haven't seen him play many roles, in movies except for like If, and that I didn't like him in If, to be honest. So yeah, that was my 4th. I just don't see him. Tom Hanks, I think he's too much of an A-list star at that point. I think Splash was like too big of a success, and I see John Candy as a cameo appearance, and Tom Hanks was just too big of a cameo appearance to just pop up. It's like, oh, Tom Hanks, you're in it. Hey, John Candy, I'm actually surprised I see. So that's why I put Tom Hanks at 3. The top 2 was tough, but I went with George Wendt in number 2. That's actually a very good choice. George Wendt has that warmth in him. I could see him playing that and having discussions with Kate McAllister about his past life, and then also playing with the band. And he would be a lot of fun, actually. So George Wendt was pretty good. And I'll tell a tale out of school. Jack Black was actually my first choice when selecting him. So I'm picking Jack Black as number one because he is the perfect choice for Gus Polinski, because Jack Black has that musical background in him, and also he has that humor inside. He doesn't have to go over the top, but he can be just right at that humor level, but also has that warmth in him, like he has demonstrated in The Holiday. So Jack Black. So my order would be Moynihan, Hanks, Went, Black.
All right, sounds good. Richie.
Yeah, my number 4 is Tom Hanks. Much like Caro said, I think he's too famous, especially at this point. It's jarring. My number 3 is George Wendt. I think he'd be a good pick. I just haven't seen a lot of him outside of Cheers. I think looks part, but I think number 2, I got John C. Reilly. I think he'd be. I think he would be good. He'd be great, and especially at the Improv. I think it's a good pick. But number 1, I also have Jack Black. I thought you were going to bring up the fact that also Jack Black was literally in a movie called The Polka King. So
Well, yeah, that's right. He was.
I think that's inspired pick. As soon as you pick, as that came up, I'm like, damn it, why didn't I pick this? I mean, you got your pick behind the scenes. You got your picks in early as, so I would have. That wouldn't help me.
The one movie that I'm going to do it on, I'm not going to do it on the rest. Because
Yeah, Jordan literally sent me the pick before we even scheduled a date for this thing. So
yeah, I'm alone, baby.
But we're not going to do that again. I'm going to announce the date first and then get everybody's picks. Then once we announce it, if you want to get it in right after, that's fine. That's how it's going to go. Chris, what's your ranking for these?
I went with number 4 for Moynihan, just because I haven't seen him in a lot of stuff. Although I really did like him at If, actually. I went with number 4. I went with John C. Reilly. I like John C. Reilly, but I mean, he definitely has that versatility there. And I like Jack Black. I think Jack Black is awesome. But I think actually the pick I love here probably the most is George Wendt. I feel like he has heart. I feel like he's kind of fun. I feel like he has the heart and he's kind of funniest at the same time. So I'm going to go with George Wendt. I think he's a solid pick to fill those shoes.
All right.
So good choice.
With my 4th place, I'm going to go with Tom Hanks. I think he's both famous and that's kind of the wrong energy. I think it's a wrong energy for Gus. I think you need somebody just a little more, less famous, and it just doesn't feel right to me. Like Tom Hanks would just be a little odd to show up uncredited. Yeah, for the last 20 minutes of the movie, that just feels odd to me. So I'm gonna go with Moynihan next. I love SNL, but I just need to see more of him in movies. That's really all I got. Riley's a good pick, so I'll go with him. And 3rd, I think it's really solid, especially if you see like the Laurel and Hardy movie they did. Yeah, Stan and Ollie. I think he's great, and he's got some good energy there. And then I think Jack Black's a pretty solid pick. I mean, a lot of people picked him, and I think he would work pretty well. So he'll be my top because I considered that, but it's out of my time period. I went with a time period thing for this one, so that's why I went with George Wendt. So all right, so we'll tally up the scores here. We'll have, it looks like 5 points for Moynihan. 7 for Tom Hanks. We've got 11 for George Wendt. We got 12 for Riley, and I believe with first place it'd be 15 for Jack Black. So Jack Black, you'll be your recasted Gus here. So here we go. So Jordan, you got a good one there. There you go. All right. All right.
Maybe my only one. We'll see.
We're going to move up the cast here and go with Old Man Marley, Robert's Blossom, who passed away. Again, weird name, and not just Robert's Blossom.
Yeah, Roberts.
But let's go with Old Man Marley and
it's his Blossom.
Get a quick look at him real quick. There's a little more of that scene, but we don't want to let it go too long, unless otherwise YouTube will sometimes think I'm trying to play the whole movie.
Right, yeah.
But we're going to talk a little bit about Old Man Marley, once again played by Robert's Blossom. So there you go, one more time, and this time we'll start with Jonathan. Who you got for Marley?
All right, so that is the key scene of the movie when I was, trying to figure out who would I recast as Old Man Marley, because Old Man Marley has that intimidating rumored presence throughout the neighborhood. So he has to be a little scary, from the exterior side. But once you see him and you get to know him in the church, he has to have that genteel side and also full of regret. So, like I said before, I'm doing mid-2010 style. So the one actor I chose can represent all those qualities. So my actor that I chose is Jeff Bridges. Yeah, Jeff Bridges. So I see Jeff Bridges, have that intimidating side like Rooster Cogburn in True Grit. He could be scary, at points, and then he has paranoia like Arlington Road, an underrated film. And also he has that genteel side of him, like in other movies. There are a lot of movies with him that has that side, that genteel charisma side, and then he has, roles that he has full of regret. So I wanted an actor who can be able to demonstrate all of those abilities in his old age. So, and I choose Jeff Bridges for Old Man Marley. And I want to see Jeff Bridges actually hit Harry and Marv with a shovel.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. All right, so Jonathan going with Jeff Bridges for his pick.
But he has to do it with the Rooster Cogburn voice if he hits him with the shovel.
That's right.
You mess with a little kid on Christmas.
Richie, who are you picking for this one?
Yeah. So yeah, I went with the guy again. I think he could probably come across initially as someone who could be very kind of creepy, but also he portrays that warmth and that sort of that comfort person that you need. I went with Bruce Dern. I think Bruce Dern is sort of great actor that popped up in a lot of things, and yeah, he portrays that sort of like he conveys that warmth really well, but yeah, he can also play that sort of intimidating character initially that you kind of want to say that you probably got kind of assumptions about, and then but he can also be like kind of they're very warm-hearted person that's that you can confide in. So yeah, I think Bruce Dern would do well here. So yeah.
All right. So Richie going with Bruce Dern. All right, Chris, who you got?
I'm gonna go with Rutger Hauer. I feel like obviously we've seen him do very scary, but we've also seen him play compassionate roles as well. I think that he could definitely do a good job with that character. So I'm going to go with Rutger Hauer.
All right.
Although I feel like I didn't necessarily make a good enough push for that.
That's all right. It's all right. Sometimes, hey, we've had people on here. Barry Hamlin literally was just like, so and so, enough said, and just moved on. It's like, okay, and he won a few of them, so just depending on how strong the pick is.
With Brian Nussbaum, he kind of did that too.
Yeah. So, all right, good. So I went with the guy again. With my time period, I want somebody who's pretty well known at the time, who's got that big booming presence and can be scary, but who also has the acting chops to play the sweet part. So I went with George C. Scott. Actually, I think George C. Scott especially around this time, this is like 80s. It's after he played Patton. It's around the time of the Changeling. So he could play kind of an estranged family guy. In Angus, he actually plays one of his last roles. He plays the grandpa. So he can be kind of that sweet family guy, but he can have that intimidating presence. Just kind of walking around and be a little scary at first, especially if he speaks with that that big booming voice, but then realize that he's kind of a sweet guy underneath. If you remember The Rescuers Down Under, he plays the villain in that one, but he has kind of a pretend sweetness to the kid at the beginning of the movie, and I think he could actually do it genuinely, in the movie as well. So, so for the time, I think you want to establish, again, he wasn't like a super leading man, I think other than Patton, but one of those guys who you could get that kind of used to be a bigger star and just shows up here to kind of throw his weight around. So yeah, George C. Scott is my pick. So Jordan.
So yeah, I initially had somebody, but then I wasn't really feeling it, so I switched mine. But and it's someone that I think, especially the creep factor when he's like out shoveling the salt.
You're a little
underwater.
You're a little underwater, but yeah.
Is that better? Yeah, but especially when he comes down and slams his hand on the table, just all the real creepy stuff. And I think that. Well, actually, before I get to, I'll say my pick's Tobin Bell. Who my pick is. And I think that he hasn't necessarily had any good guy roles per se, and I'm also not the biggest Saw fan, so I think it's maybe like Jigsaw when you get his backstory and you get to see a little.
And the very latest movie.
Yeah. So and you get to see some of it, of like a little heart to him and a little like things that make you actually care about it. And I feel like if he were to actually pick a role like this, that he could really do it and he could really bring that kind of like heart and warmth to it. So, and I also would really like to see him do a role like that. So so hopefully someday. But yeah, but I think that he really like even almost looks like the character. So yeah, I'll go with Tobin Bell.
All right, so just a quick recap for anybody watching. Jonathan goes with Jeff Bridges. Richie goes with Bruce Dern. Chris with Rutger Hauer. My pick of George C. Scott. And Jordan's pick of Tobin Bell. So there's your options on the table. So Jonathan, you kick us off with the rankings this time.
Okay. Actually, this was pretty easy to rank. So Rutger Hauer is my fourth pick. I just don't see that warmth in him. Like I said, the church scene is the key scene, and I just see a little too meanness from him. I just don't understand him being Old Man Marley. I only see the intimidating side of him. I don't see the warm-hearted side of him. I don't see him in the end like hugging, his grandson. I just don't. And same with Tobin Bell, which is my number 3. I think Tobin Bell, again, he's just too intimidating, and I don't see him being warm at all, towards the end. George C. Scott. George C. Scott is an interesting pick. That's my second choice. I was about to rank him 4th, but then when you told me about his warm-hearted side of him, I was like, okay, actually, I do see him because he has played Scrooge in A Christmas Carol. So he has those chops, those dramatic qualities, those warm-hearted qualities into him. It's not just the mean factor in George C. Scott. So my number 1 is Bruce Dern because I do see the mean side of him, but I also see the warm-hearted side of him like I saw in Nebraska, that Alexander Payne film. So I think Bruce Dern could be a very intimidating presence. Like he cannot be the Hateful Eight guy or with that grovelly voice, but also he has that side of regret in him when we get to the church scene, and also now his redemption scene at the end. So Bruce Dern will be my number 1, and then Scott, Bell, Howard.
Okay, Richie.
Yeah, my number 4 is Tobin Bell. I just see I get what you're saying, like that there is sort of that bit of humanity, especially in the later Saw movie. But again, I just see him as Jigsaw at this point. And then number 3 is Rutger Hauer. I haven't seen much of that work, much of the work that convinced me that he can play like this sort of warm heart, intimidating but sort of warm hearted character. Yeah, number 2, I've got Jeff Bridges. I think he'd be a solid choice. But in the end, number 1, George C. Scott. Austin won me over with the argument, and I think he'd be a great presence in Home Alone, the movie. So number 1, George C. Scott.
Okay, Chris.
I went with Jeff Bridges for number 4. I went with Bruce Dern at number 3, and I think that might because in my mind, like I always think of him in the show The Goliath, even though I know he's done a lot more shit, and he's just an evil bastard in that. And number 2, George C. Scott. I think George C. Scott is definitely an interesting pick. I mean, especially if you look at movies kind of like Exorcist 3, he's very he does his job, but he also is very cares about the people. But at the end of the day, actually, I think my vote surprisingly goes to Tobin Bell, because I feel like, especially in the later movies, especially in this last one, not to kind of spoil or anything, he really shows that he genuinely cares about people, and he's not just out to just take people out for no reason at all.
What do you think about Jeff Bridges? You kind of blew past that one.
Yeah, I was I wanted an explanation about that one.
So I think that Jeff Bridges can kind of play both. But at the same time, I don't necessarily think he has as much heart, maybe in my mind, as maybe Tobin Bell does. And I know that's kind of an odd pick, but that's why. Yeah. And I'm a huge Saw fan anyway, so.
Yeah, I'm still scratching my head, but okay.
All right. My number 4 is probably going to be Howard. I've only ever seen him be scary. I've never seen him be sweet. Even the latest thing I saw him in before he passed away was like Hobo with a shotgun. He's just a violent asshole in that movie. So, I'm gonna go with Bridges for my other one, only because it's the converse of that. I've never really seen him be like intimidating or scary. I feel like nobody would really think he was like the scary old serial killer in the neighborhood. Like, I know he can play the nice part, but I just don't see the other side of that. And then so I'll go with Tobin Bell right after that, because I did see a little bit more of that sweet side. I'm a huge Saw fan, and I've seen him be kind of the nicer guy and the more sensitive guy in a few of those movies. And he definitely could be that one intimidating dude, of course, that you see, and then maybe you get to know him and he's a little bit better. I like the Bruce Dern pick a lot. I think Nebraska is a great reference for that, because he's kind of a curmudgeon guy, but he's like but when you get to know him, he's like a sweet grandpa guy, and he's a good dude. But he could also be that scary old man in the corner that you don't want to talk to, as in like the Hateful Eight, or so you don't even want to approach. So I totally get that part. So I think Bruce Dern's a good pick. I like it. So, Jordan.
Yeah. I think for me too, I have Rutger Hauer for number 4, only because I'm just not that familiar with him. I just know that he's done a lot of horror movies back in the 70s and maybe a little 80s. But so yeah, that's my number 4. My number 3 is probably George C. Scott, almost for a lot of the same reasons. I'm not as familiar with him, but he does have that the Christmas Carol movie that he does. But then I also have seen him do some pretty like Exorcist 3, or like even Patton, he's really brutal in that movie too. Just I don't know, there's those, but and then Jeff Bridges, I think I can really see it. I just kind of like you said, Austin. I haven't really seen him be like that intimidating. So I think that they could do it though. But yeah, I think Bruce Dern is an inspired pick. I wish I would have thought of him, because especially from Nebraska. I mean, a little bit like even in The Burbs, you can kind of see like the kind of crazy side of him, and just Hateful Eight, just some of those. So yeah, Bruce Dern, my number 1.
All right, so running down the points here, we're gonna have Rutger Hauer with 5. We got Jeff Bridges with 9. Tobin Bell with 10. George C. Scott with 12. But with 14, Bruce Dern. Richie, you got one.
You got one.
Yep. All right, you got one.
That was a great pick. That was a great pick.
Great pick. So there you go.
Yeah.
All right, so we're bouncing around here. Yeah, no, I don't think anybody's gonna run with this one. I think we got some good picks, and we'll see what happens. Just piece to piece. All right, so we'll probably speed it up just a little bit. We're kind of only on our third of 9, so we need to pick up the pace just a tad, but we will. So let's move on up to Uncle Frank, played by Gary Bamman, I think, or Bamman. Yeah. So Uncle Frank, of course, one of the more memorable side family members. So this is kind of a super cut of like Uncle Frank, and I'll just stop it at about the 40-second mark or so, but it's some of his more memorable lines and whatnot. So here.
There's no way.
Put them in your purse.
Put them in your purse. So yeah, no, we can play Uncle Frank clips all day. We'll cut off there. He's great. So once again, Uncle Frank played by Gary Bamman. So Richie, we're gonna start with you this time. What you got?
By the way, they shouldn't have made that plane. 45 minutes, no way. They're not out the door for that. He got there like 3 hours beforehand.
Hey, it was pre 9/11. You could get through security in like 10 minutes. So
I guess so. But yeah, so I'm going to probably a little bit younger, but like I think he definitely encapsulates the cynicism and definitely the grouchiness, but also being kind of right. And so I went with Bill Burr as Uncle Frank. I think he could encapsulate that kind of that constantly being frustrated, and then I could definitely see him saying, "Look, you did, you little jerk." And yeah, like if you want to see him like being, he's got a very small scene in that movie, The Heat, with Ross McCarthy and Sandra Bullock, where he's sort of playing that kind of loudmouth, like frustrated dude. I know I can imagine him playing that kind of that brash sort of loudmouth, like frustrated dude, because that's very much what he's like as comedy. So it wouldn't be much of a stretch for him. So time for Bill Burr.
Okay, so Bill Burr is Richie's pick. Chris, what you got?
I'm gonna go with Ed O'Neill. I think we've seen him play some really staunch grumpy characters, especially Married with Children. For one, obviously in A Modern Family, just to name a couple roles there. Like I think he's really, really good for that, to play that character. I feel like he's got like one mode down. He's really, really grumpy. He always seems like he's impatient. He's like, I want to get somewhere. What the hell, And everyone just sort of walks all over him. So I'm gonna go with Ed O'Neill. I think he's a perfect pick for that character.
All right, so Ed O'Neill is Chris's pick. Yeah, so as far as mine, again, I think you want good character actors for some of these under roles. So I'm going with one that was very prevalent. Basically, he's kind of always been a character actor. He's been some co-leads here and there, but kind of more known as character actor. So sticking with my 80s theme, I'm going to go with George Kennedy. From like the Naked Gun movies and Cool Hand Luke, and a bunch of these kind of guys. I think he's kind of a big dude, so he's got that kind of big booming presence. He's kind of an asshole bully in Cool Hand Luke. If you've seen that, he's kind of a bully to Luke. For most of that movie until he kind of sort of starts to befriend him. So he can have a little buffoonery. Obviously, he can do a little more of the comedic stuff where he gets humiliated here and there. Like in the Naked Gun movies. But I think he's got a great presence and he's kind of instantly recognizable, and he can easily kind of roll with the ensemble and do his thing. So I know he's a little slightly lesser known, but I try to at least point out some of these roles you know him from. But George Kennedy is my pick for this one. Jordan.
So let's see. I went with someone who I think can do the real snarky thing, but can also there's a little moment where Uncle Frank has a bit of a turn where it's like it's horrible, just horrible that he forgot him at home or whatever, and I think that we could do both really well, but even more the snarky kind of attitude. But I went J.K. Simmons for mine, so I think that could really hit pretty hard And I think that he's done everything from like all across the board. He's been heartwarming. He's been an asshole. He's been a villain. He's been a good guy that you root for. He's been a lot of different things. He's even been a family man. He's been the dad and stuff like Juno or stuff. I don't know. He had a small role in that movie, Father Figures, I guess. That's very small, but or in like Palm Springs, I guess he was like an uncle or something in that too. So I'll say J.K. Simmons.
All right, Jordan going with J.K. Simmons. Jonathan, round us out.
Yeah, this was the most fun character to cast. I'll be honest. It was really fun. This one, I want an actor with a grouchy comedic presence. Like I emphasize grouchy and with a little snarkiness in there. And you just want him just to be also funny. You want to laugh with him. So I chose Lewis Black. Yes. Like I could hear him uttering those lines. Like, look what you did, you little jerk. I mean, I could hear him say that. I could hear him say all those lines. And also he has that grouchy comedic presence in Accepted and Unaccompanied Minors, and also that voice presence in the two Inside Out movies. So you can identify him with that grouchy uncle that you see in your own family. I mean, I don't have one, thank God. But I mean, it's just he would be like hilariously just grouchy in that movie. So that would be my choice, Lewis Black.
Okay, so we're just running the picks one more time. Got Richie's choice of Bill Burr. Got Chris's Ed O'Neill. Got my George Kennedy. We got J.K. Simmons for Jordan and Lewis Black. So 2 stand-up comics in here, actually, out of the 5. But there we go. So, all right, we're going to start with Richie on this one.
Yeah, so number 4, I went George Kennedy. I like him, but I haven't seen clips. I only know him out of Naked Gun, so I haven't seen that other sort of side of him. It's just unfamiliarity that it boils down to. Number 3, I have J.K. Simmons. I think he'd be good. I just think these other 2 would fit the role a bit better. Number 2, I had Ed O'Neill. I think he'd be great. That sort of grouchy disposition. And you almost had it there, Chris. But then when you said Lewis Black, I'm like, of course, I want to see that. I want to see this. Yeah, I want to see
You bastard!
I want to see this. I really want to see this. And as soon as he said that, comedian Grouchy, and well, I had the other comedian Grouchy, so I'm like, I almost said along with them. So yes, I want to see Lewis Black. So yes, number one, Lewis Black.
Yeah,
Really funny.
yeah.
Chris.
I went with so a Lewis Black is my number 4. I went with Bill Burr for number 3. He's almost there for me, but God, I don't know. I mean, this is actually really tougher than I thought it was going to be. I mean, I like J.K. Simmons. I think J.K. Simmons is a little closer to where we can kind of be. We've seen him be a jerk, but we've also seen him kind of obviously care about them as well. But at the end of the day, George Kennedy got my vote because I think George Kennedy is so damn talented.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, this is tricky because I kind of could see all of these. So it's more just like little nitpicky things. I'll go with Bill Burr for my 4th, just because I see him more of as like a dad than like an uncle. Like I don't know. I just see him like more recent, like some of his roles. And I with you, Richie, when you casted him in what was it? The I don't know what I voted for.
Yeah,
I can't remember what it was. We had him for something.
Yeah.
It was.
God, what was it?
What was it?
You picked it.
Something or
No. It was like 3 or 4 episodes ago, but whatever. There was something I thought he was pretty inspired for that, but whatever it was. I just didn't see
Matrix. It was Matrix. It was
Matrix for for Joey Pants's role in the Matrix. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I was with you on that one.
I forgot Joey Pants. No.
Yeah. Again, this is just nitpicky. I'll go with Ed O'Neill just because he's always kind of Al Bundy to me. And again, it's got more of a dad thing than an uncle thing for me. I'll go Lewis Black after that because I love Lewis Black. I've seen him a couple times doing stand up. But yeah, when Jordan said J.K. Simmons, I was like, man, I could totally see him delivering those lines. Just be like, look what you did, you little jerk. just being an asshole and but standing out and stealing the scene. So I'll go with that.
Put them in your purse. Put them in your purse.
Yeah. Put them in your purse. Jordan, what you got?
I just have George Kennedy just because I'm not really familiar with him. I barely remember seeing him in.
This is always the risk I run when I go period piece of mind, especially with
sorry.
He doesn't know anybody I pick ever.
No, like
movies.
Usually like 2 people that you pick that I have like not seen any of their movies hardly. And so but for my number 3 I have Bill Burr because when you first brought him up, Richie, I was like, "Oh man, that's a great choice." And then the other picks came in. I was like, "Oh shoot!" But I could see him doing it, giving little snaky remarks to the McAllisters, the parents, and all that stuff. But then for my number 2, sorry, I have Lewis Black because I could see it, and like especially the like angry thing. He's like the guy that's known to get angry all the time. So is Bill Burr, but I think even Lewis Black a little more. And I could totally see him delivering all those lines and just like being that kind of like annoying uncle. But I've Ed O'Neill for number 1. I think that's a really great pick. I just think that like there's so many things that I've seen him where he fits. Being in Modern Family, he's an uncle in that. Being in Little Giants, I'm a big fan of the movie Clipped, so I know he's just playing like an old like geezer kind of guy, but he's kind of like an old curmudgeon kind of guy. Even stuff like Dutch or Married with Children. So yeah, I'll say Ed O'Neill.
All right, and Jonathan, round us out.
Okay, this was actually tough because these are good picks. So I'm gonna shock y'all. I have Ed O'Neill as number 4.
Mm-hmm.
Because I see so much of Dutch, I see so much of Jay Pritchett, I see so much of Al Bundy in that Uncle Frank role. I just see that again, and it's just the same role again. So George Kennedy, I have number 3. That's an interesting pick because at first I thought of the Naked Gun movies, and then he was just too understanding. But then I think of the airport movies where it's a bit there's a hint of curmudgeonness there because he plays one of the bosses. So, and he has that cigar in his mouth, so I could see that from him. But also that Cool Hand Luke, where he's kind of a bully, but then he's kind of warm-hearted a little bit. Yeah, I see that. J.K. Simmons is number 2 for me. I think J.K. can have that kind of presence there. I like that. So, like that plane scene, like I could buy him in that. And Bill Burr is number 1. I can see him having that terrible interaction with Kevin, and with just him just insulting Kevin and bullying Kevin. So yeah, I have Bill Burr number 1.
The funniest, I think, Bill Burr to me.
Probably the funniest.
All right, so this is a pretty tight one, actually. Nobody ran away with this one. We got George Kennedy with 8 points, Ed O'Neill with 10 points, Lewis Black with 11, Bill Burr with 9, and J.K. Simmons with 12, but just eking it out. Nobody ran away with this one. So, so we got J.K. Simmons with this one. But just barely. A lot of people getting double digits with that one. So, yeah,
the wire.
All over the place. Yeah, so... All right, that's the thing we play. So we're going to move on to one of the other members of the side members of the family. Of course, we're going to talk about Buzz, played by Devin Ray. So yeah, this is a tricky one, but let's take a very, very quick look at Buzz.
Good stuff. Growing on.
So he's got that big brother energy. So yeah, we're going to talk about Buzz because of course we have to talk about Buzz. Probably the most memorable of the siblings, obviously. All right, but we'll go around the horn, and this time we'll start with Chris. Chris, what you got?
So I'm gonna go. So I think it's essentially you cast Buzz, someone who's like dolting, but also kind of a jerk at the same time. Like obviously to some degree he cares about him, but at the same time he wants to beat his face in. So I think it was pretty fitting. I picked James Franco, and more specifically, if you look at Freaks and Geeks, I think that is a perfect example of both of them. He plays kind of the badass, but at the same time, he's got a heart. And we see that, of course, with the poetry and all that stuff. And that is one of the greatest shows ever made. But yeah, I think James Franco is a perfect pick for this. Yeah, so I'm going to go with that. Freaks and Geeks is a perfect example.
Thanks to Bronson, by the way. Just said we just stumbled across the channel popping up on the feed and checking out. Thank you very much.
Hey,
nice.
Yeah, we do.
Thank you very much, Bronson.
We do Recast every month, and we've done it twice this month. We actually did a Die Hard episode. Go check that out last week. So we do all kinds of shows.
We do like 3 to 4 things a week. So we're always doing stuff.
Oh yeah, and so yeah, no, thanks for everybody who's watching. So my pick for Buzz is I think you need somebody who's definitely an asshole who just carries that presence with him. I don't think like looking like Buzz is essentially needed for this, but you need that big brother energy. So I went with somebody that was again very popular for that type of role around this time. So I went with Judd Nelson. I think Judd Nelson from like the Breakfast Club, has that dick energy. If you walk into his room, just be like, don't you know how to knock phlegmwad? Just constantly insulting people. Like an insult, every word out of his mouth is an insult. Trying to scare Kevin with the Marley story. You ever heard of South Bend Shovel Slayer? Just like telling that story, and he could kind of he's a good actor, so he could bring out the creepiness of that story, but just being a complete dick, but also kind of a silly goof, at the same time, and somebody you can laugh at. But I think it just brings that bully energy to it. So yeah, around this time I go with Judd Nelson for that one. So Jordan, what you got?
So I went with one that I think he's always done kind of smaller roles, but I think that like the one role in particular that just really seals it for me is he literally played an older brother that was a bully, and I went with let me get the name right. His name's Jason Harvey. So
Jason Hervey.
Yeah. I know as the older brother from the Wonder Years though. So and like in that show, because that's one of my favorite shows growing up, he's just a total dick to another Kevin. Also, he's older brother to another Kevin Arnold too. So you have that, and like at every turn, he's just like spouting out lines. He's like bullying him. He's like trying to beat him up. Like he's and then he kind of like, and it's like forced into doing all these things for Kevin by his parents that he doesn't really want to do, and also he's always calling him butthead and like all this stuff. So yeah, Jason Hervey, is that how you say it?
Jason Hervey, yeah, it's H-E-R, Hervey, yeah, Jason Hervey.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah. And he showed up on a lot of wrestling shows around that time. He's on like and stuff. Yeah, he's like, okay, like he's always like a guest judge and stuff. It's weird. Like, yeah, he was like a wrestling fan too. Yeah, we
Hervey,
stumbled across him on like 2 different retro episodes of like WCW we've done.
He
That's
judged
awesome.
the Ric Flair. Did he judge the Ric Flair Sting thing? Was he a judge on that?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, one of the Starcades.
That's
He was like a
awesome.
judge.
That's awesome.
at ringside.
Yeah.
All right, Jonathan, what you got?
Okay, so again, I went with mid 2010s era. So this was very difficult for me to recast because at first I was thinking of size, but then I backed away from it. And then second, I was thinking about Big Brother, kind of role. And I want him to play like a jerk. And we have seen that before he was famous. And I'm bringing up Timothy Chalamet. Okay. I'll tell you why.
Okay.
The picture.
Yeah.
Well, I figured you were going with younger Chalamet and not Bob Dylan Chalamet. So
No, I'll explain to you why. So Timothy Chalamet, I brought up before he was famous because we see that jerky quality in Interstellar. Like he's a dick to Mackenzie's Voice's character in Interstellar, Murph, the younger Murph, and I could see him like taunting Kevin and bullying Kevin, saying, "Don't you know how to knock phlegm wad?" I mean, I could hear that in his cadence, and yeah, he could play a jerk very well in that movie. I mean, I want him to play more mean characters, but I sense that presence there. So, and I think you'll understand when you hear my Kevin later. But no, that's who I'll bring up. Timothy Chalamet. Again, this was my hardest one to cast.
All right,
Yeah,
so
with that haircut.
Yeah. Richie.
Yeah.
Yeah, not gonna lie, this was hard as well. So yeah, I mean, I went with a guy who sort of looks like him, but also because let's be honest, like Buzz has that sort of, even though he's a bully, he also has that sort of that look that bullies would go for. He's got a look that would get him bullied in the first place as well. So it makes it kind of good critical. So I went with Gatton Matarazzo from Stranger Things. Dustin from Stranger Things. I just see him like with like having that sort of the big brother energy of and just bossing Kevin around while not while sort of also not looking like the the picture of coolness or whatever himself, and just sort of he can. I think he can carry off that smart assness as well, and also have that can also convey the warmth to him, that nice side to him. So yeah, I just want to see him in more roles. So I went with this was tough, but I went with Gatton Matarazzo.
All right. So just running down the picks again, we got Chris's pick of James Franco, my pick of Judd Nelson, Jason Hervey for Jordan, and Timothy Chalamet for Jonathan. Richie has Gaten Matarazzo. All right, so those are your picks on the table for Buzz. Chris, ranking first.
So this is definitely tough, but as far as Timothy Chalamet, I just haven't seen him play enough mean roles for me to sort of feel like he could kind of fill that role. I feel like he plays a pretty nice character, and then I have Gatton Matarazzo, and that's only because I feel like we've only really seen him in Stranger Things. I know he has done some other stuff, but I haven't really seen him do that the mean role, but I feel like he definitely has the chops to do it, and I'm excited to see what he does next because, God, he's such a talented actor. And, God, these last two were so hard for me because I love Wonder Years, but, yeah, dude, Judd Nelson was my number one pick. So it went with Jason Hervey and then Judd Nelson. Judd Nelson is so fucking good in the Breakfast Club. He's just amazing. As that mean
on Chris because he loves Breakfast Club. So.
Well, and behind the scenes, Chris picked him last minute, but I already had him, so I had to
fudge!
Kind of rude. I was like, that's rude.
So I figured, well, I already had him. Sorry, it just wasn't.
Yeah, no, you're good, dude. I would have too. Yeah. Or I would have picked Jason Hervey. So yeah.
Yeah. All right, so yeah, my fourth, I got to go with Gaten. I've only seen like the first season of Stranger Things, so I've only seen like smiley face little cute kid. I just haven't seen his range, so I just can't go with that. I'll go with Chalamet for next because I don't remember him younger. All I see now is like Dune and Bob Dylan, all this stuff, Bones and all. Like I haven't seen that kind of asshole kid side of him. I just saw Interstellar again, and I don't even remember him in that movie. So if it was very brief. I don't even remember. I'll go with Franco. I guess because I saw Freaks and Geeks videos a long time ago, but yeah, I mean he could definitely be a dick for sure. And yeah, I'll go with Herbie more at top. I considered him, because it's around the same time. It would fit with my time frame as well. And yeah, he's really good on Wonder Years, and he's also just good. And he pops up in little things like he's in. You remember he's in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. He's like playing the kid actor who's just like, I am always ready. Like born ready. Let's go. Yeah, like he's always a dick and everything. So I'll go with that. Jordan?
Yeah, this one's a little easier for me because there's really only one person anyone brought up that I really can see in this role, and maybe like a second one that could maybe do it. But for my number 4, I have Gaten Matarazzo. I just don't see him. I think it's the wrong energy, kind of the wrong vibe. Like he's just a sweet, just kid that just like I don't see a mean bone in his body. I don't know. So to be that kind of like meaner older brother, but and then I have at number 3 Timothy Chalamet, just because I haven't really seen him play anything really like mean or kind of like maybe tough but not like mean, so yeah. But and then for my number 2 I have James Franco because the Freaks and Geeks, that's a good reference for because he does play kind of like kind of like what's the word I'm looking for? Just kind of like a real grungy kind of bully, kind of just like tough guy kind of thing that's picking on people and stuff. So there's that. But Judd Nelson, I could see that. I could see him being the older brother. I could see him going up to him, just flicking his ears or just doing weird stuff to him or just messing with them the whole entire time. Like just like slapping on the back of the head. I think there's a scene where he literally slaps him on the back of the head or something. So yeah, I'll go Judd Nelson.
All right, Jonathan.
Yeah, this was easy to rank. Gaten Matarazzo. Sorry, Richie. I just don't see him as the mean big brother. Yeah, that and Stranger Things and that one movie with the girl from Spider-Man and the Nice Things. That's the one I've seen from him, and I didn't sense a mean presence from him. So, yeah, James Franco's number 3. Just cause. Jason Hervey, not a bad pick actually. That's I could see that. I could see a big brother, mean
older brother to a Kevin.
Yeah, I could see that. But congratulations, Austin. Judd Nelson. Yeah, perfect. Just perfect. Perfect choice.
Richie.
Yeah, for the record, Buzz is the hardest to cast. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, at number 4, I have Jason Hervey just because I'm not as familiar with him. Yes, I see him. He didn't show up in wrestling sometimes, but I didn't see much of the Wonder Years. Number 3, I have James Franco. Again, I haven't seen Prince of Geeks in ages, and beyond that, it's number 3. Number 2, I got Timothy Chalamet. I see what I see what Caro's saying here, and I think he's turning into a bit. Timothy's turning into a bit of a chameleon. I think he could pull it off. But yeah, Judd Nelson. I'm like, he's on this one. Judd Nelson, I definitely see him in this role, and I think he'd have fun with it. So yeah, Judd Nelson.
All right, so all right, we got totals Gaten with 5, Chalamet with 8, we got Franco with 10, Herbie with 11. Our first clean sweep of the night, my pick of Judd Nelson as Buzz.
That was
first place. So
great.
I got that one in pretty early. I figured somebody else might have picked it. So there you go. Also, funny you should mention that we're doing Anchorman next month, so stay tuned.
Yeah. And let's see. I was also going to say. You're welcome for that.
You're welcome. No, thank you for tuning in. Appreciate it. But yes, we are doing. We're going to announce at the end of the show. But yes, our January will be Anchorman, so you get that.
It will be.
So we're doing Anchorman in January. We're going to do a comedy, so that should be fun. All right, so moving right along up the cast list, we're going to talk about the late great John Hurd and Peter McAllister, the father.
The father.
That's a line from the sequel. Let's get a quick look at Peter McAllister here. So you got a little bit of Kate there. We'll be talking about here momentarily, but most of the scenes are kind of together, so it's hard to do one of just him. But yeah, so that'll be the late great John Hurt, who passed away a few years back. But yeah, we're going to talk about him and the role of Peter McAllister, the father. So let's kick this off here, and I believe it's on me, right? So okay,
Yep.
yeah. So again, I was sticking with my sort of period piece, mid late '80s thing. I went with actually a pretty famous TV dad around that time, who's a nice guy, but can be a little stern when he needs to be, as he did on the show he was on and in the movies he's in. So I'm going with Michael Gross from, of course, Tremors, but he was also, if you remember, he was the dad on Family Ties, the Michael J. Fox show. So he's actually pretty known for being like kind of a TV dad. He was known, that was what he did kind of before Tremors, how he was famous. Yeah, and so he's got that sweetness to him, but he's got that sternness, just like Kevin upstairs, he could turn it on when he needs to. The little arguments he has with the gate attendant there when they're arguing about, I can't believe you can't bump somebody or ask somebody. Like, he can do that and turn it on, I think, when he needs to, but he can also be, you could feel that kind of fatherly presence from him, because that's what he was pretty much known for up until, he turned to the Tremors franchise. But so I think he's got range between the two. So yeah, around that time, I'll go with one of the more famous TV dads from that. I'll go with Michael Gross. He'd be pretty instantly good in that role. So, Jordan?
Yeah, like my mind sort of went there when I'm trying to cast this like famous TV dad.
Yeah, a little bit.
That kind of worked. Which mine is kind of, but I mean, I didn't just really see him in this role, but I think he has a lot of warmth in the heart, but then can be kind of interesting, just a tad funny. I went John Ritter for mine. So he was a dad in 8 Simple Rules for raising my teenage daughter. He was a dad in Problem Child. And then he also was in like Bad Santa, just being like the security guy at the mall or whatever. And yeah, I think that really, and you see a little comedic stuff in Three's Company. He's obviously not being the dad, and yeah, I just really miss him. The late great John Hurt, and I'll bet that if he was still alive today, he'd be doing more dad roles. So yeah.
All right, so Jordan goes with John Ritter. Jonathan, who you got?
Okay. So he has played a few dads in movies, but I went with like a comedic actor, but also has that range of dramatic chops. And okay, I was about to, yeah, he's a comedic actor at most, but then he has that dramatic range in other movies. I'll name a few in a moment, but I went with Adam Scott. Yeah, I went with Adam Scott because he has that paternal instinct in his facial expressions when he would figure out if he lost his child or not, but also how he would have that quiet humor underneath him, like if he forgot to lock the garage door or whatnot. But also I could see him play the concerned dad, and he has played a few dads in other movies like Krampus, and he's played a comedic dad in Step Brothers. So he has that range, and then he also has some others movies in there as well, like The Aviator, and I see him in Black Mass. So he has that range as a father, like he could be humorous to concerned. So that's why I went with Adam Scott.
All right, Jonathan goes Adam Scott.
There's also a dad in that movie, A Little Evil, and when his son becomes evil.
Yeah,
with Evangeline Lilly.
Yeah.
Richard?
Yeah, so I didn't necessarily go with the guy that was known for playing dads. He might have done, I'm not sure. But I went with the guy who's known for comedy, but has shown that he has dramatic chops as well. I went with Bill Hader. I think Bill Hader, I don't know, there's something about him also just has dad energy about him. And I think he can, while he, I think he can do, he can do what you asked of me. He can do the whole out there comedy, but he can also do the subtle sort of humor. And I think he can hit the sort of dramatic beats when he needs to. He's in Skeleton Twins, and the sequels. It Chapter 2 doesn't, but It Chapter 2. But yeah, I just think I think he would. I think he'd work well in this role, and it'd be something a little bit different to it for him. But yeah, he would still get a sort of stretch that comedic muscle, I guess. And yeah, I think he'd fit well.
All right. Bill Hader is a big fan. Chris, what do you got?
I have got Paul Reiser. I think we've seen Paul Reiser play a wide range of characters where he can be very loving and very adulting and very sarcastic as well. I mean, I think he has that perfect dad energy. I think he's a perfect casting for the role.
Say mad about you, Chris. Mad about
Mad
you.
About You is amazing with him.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Okay, so Chris goes with Paul Reiser. All right, just running down the picks one more time. For Pete and Rick Callister, got a pick of Michael Gross. We got John Ritter, Adam Scott. We got Bill Hader, and we've got Paul Reiser. So yeah, I think these are all pretty solid. I could see almost anybody doing these. So this is actually one of the tougher ones so far because I could see almost everybody doing it. So this is going to be very much like not so much any picks I dislike. It's more just going to be like what I'd be most interested in seeing, more or less. So I think I'll just go Bill Hader at the bottom, just because I think that's almost a waste of his talent. He doesn't have a Peter McCallum is not a huge character, and I think putting Bill Hader in here, I would expect more from him, to do some of his range that he does. So that's more just like my little thing about that. I think I'll go Adam Scott next because I do like him on Parks and Rec and whatnot and all that kind of stuff. I just for some reason I know he's played a dad. I just don't see him, like having that dad energy, like that. I don't know, that huge family dad energy. Again, these are little nitpicks. It's not really that I dislike any of these, but I'll go John Ritter next. I like John Ritter a lot. I like Problem Child, and on 8 Separate Boys, he's great. So he does have that kind of dad energy. I'm looking forward to this role. But man, Paul Reiser, I think is a pretty great pick. When Chris sent me that, I was like, God damn, man, I like Paul Reiser a lot. And you know me, I'm an Aliens guy, but I think he's great later on in like Whiplash and stuff. I think he's got that very similar energy to John Hurd. So I'll go Reiser. Jordan.
Yeah, so I almost went with even another Paul that somebody said in the chat. I think Anchors a Mood might have brought up Paul Rudd, so I think he could have worked. But
Paul Rudd would have been good.
Yeah,
yeah, that would have been good.
Yeah, but for me, I probably have Adam Scott. Like I don't know, like there's something about his face that makes me laugh, and every time that I see him, I don't know what it is, and it just like I just would be laughing. I don't know why, but
what?
You're a little underwater again, Jordan. So get closer to your mic. Yeah.
Oh, weird, because I'm not that far away, so I might need a new mic because I'm like right up on it. So, and then probably Bill Hader for the next one, because Bill Hader I see more of like the fun uncle maybe, or like just I don't know, just being some other kind of like just a different character. I could see him like fitting into a family role, but maybe not the dad. And then I have Michael Gross. I thought that was a really good pick. Family Ties is a show that I went back and watched probably maybe like 15 years ago or so, and it's really good. And I'm a Michael J. Fox guy, and he played a great dad to him. And yeah, Paul Reiser, like that is a great pick. I think Paul Reiser could totally do it. And yeah, like I actually kind of wish he would play more dads. so he's really good. So
he does in the Amazon series that I can't think of.
Oh yeah, I can't remember what that is either.
That show's amazing. God.
All right, Jonathan. What you got?
Okay, yeah, this was actually hard. This is good. They're all good. The reason why I went Michael Gross at number 4 is because I have never seen Family Ties. Never, not a single episode. So I'm not familiar with his acting abilities. John Ritter at number 3. You see, that's the problem with Adam Scott. Like when I see him, I laugh when I see John Ritter.
Yeah.
With a little sadness because of his passing. But John Ritter, it's a good pick too. Bill Hader number 2. I see paternal qualities in him. Yeah, when he plays a dad, but I don't see it, many roles from him playing a dad. So yeah, probably he needs to get to it, in his next few movies. But the clear and far away favorite for me was Paul Reiser. That was great. That's a great choice. Great pick. Yeah, Paul Reiser, I could see him play that dad, and then with that desperate qualities, and then also a little quiet, subtle humor underneath. So yeah, that's it. Paul Reiser, great choice.
Yeah,
I wasn't excited at all. I don't care.
No, it's good. You never know.
Okay. All right.
Richie?
Yeah, my number 4 is Michael Gross, just because I haven't seen any episode of Family Ties either. But I trust your picks, but yeah, I haven't seen much of him. So yeah. Number 3 is Adam Scott. I like Adam Scott a lot. I just I don't know. I don't know if I don't know if I see him in that role necessarily, but I think he's really good. Number 2, John Ritter. I think he's great. I think he definitely has a paternal factor to him. But congratulations, Chris. You got a clean sweep. You got a clean sweep here. Paul Reiser, inspired pick. There you go.
All right, and Chris.
So this is really tough. I mean, I think only because I kind of agree with you, Austin, with your kind of choice. Like I think that almost this is kind of above Bill Hader. I don't really see him like he plays such wide dynamic characters that he's kind of cooler than this. I think Adam Scott, I just realized he has played a lot of dads, but I don't really see him in that role, and I don't know why, because I know he's done comedic TV shows. I know he's done everything. He can do a wide range of stuff. And Michael Gross, I love Family Ties. But my number 1 is definitely John Ritter. I love John Ritter. He's the perfect TV dad. He's absolutely awesome. So I'm going to easily go with John Ritter here for number 1.
Okay. Point-wise, Adam Scott and Bill Hader at 7, Michael Gross at 8, Ritter at 12, and Chris, you ran away with this one with Paul Reiser. So nicely done. Clean sweep. All first place votes for Paul Reiser. So nicely done, Chris. Nicely done.
If you guys want to see something hilarious from Paul Reiser, just want to throw in there. There's a podcast called "Are You Garbage?" and these two New York guys just ask these kind of questions. They're like, "What kind of car do you drive? How do you prepare your eggs in the morning?" Just all these random kind of mundane questions. They have Paul Reiser on there. They're asking these kind of just what's your favorite color? What's your just these random things, and then he just kind of rolling his eyes. He's like, "What do you want to know next? You want to know my social security number? You want to know my phone number? What do you want to know?" You're asking all these just off the wall. This is the strangest interview I've ever had in my life. What is this? I'm just all confused.
All right, well, we're going to move up to I think kind of the foremost, critical roles to the plot. I think most people would agree. So we're getting into the meaty of the matter.
I need to get onto the board.
Yeah, Jonathan. We'll see what happens. There's still time left, so we got some big roles here. We're going to talk about Kate McAllister, the mom. We're going to talk about Catherine O'Hara, who's great, obviously. So we're going to move up to her, kind of the head of the household here. So let's take a quick look at Kate. We saw her a little bit on the plane in the last scene, but let's get a little bit more of her here. Yikes. All right. Tough there. But let's talk about the great Catherine O'Hara, who was also great in Beetlejuice this year. Just pointing that out. We talked about her on Beetlejuice. She was great. She's still got it. She's awesome. We love her. We're gonna have a tough task here trying to cast Kate McAllister. So we are back around, I believe, to you, Jordan. So we're back around the horn. So you'll kick us off.
So this was one of the harder roles to cast for me, because it's hard to duplicate Catherine O'Hara. She's so phenomenal. But I went with one though that's with somebody who's played some motherly roles, and she really has the sass and getting after her kids and can really get on them like that. I went with Laura Linney for my pick. So you've seen her in things like The Truman Show. She was in that. I'm hoping that a lot of you guys have seen the movie Suncoast from this year, because she plays a great mother in that movie, and with a son who's really sick and in the hospital, but then her daughter is just running around being a teenager and doing teenager stuff and sneaking out and having wild parties with her friend, and she comes home. It's like, "Little Missy, you're grounded," and just getting in her face, but then she shows a lot of range and a lot of heart and stuff. So she just seemed like the kind of person where if she played the mother, she'd be going to any lengths to get back to her kid, and being the person where there's I've been to Dallas to whatever, she's like, "Where am I now? Scranton or whatever that guy that she's talking to, and then like trying to make the deals with the old people and just doing whatever it takes and just having that really cool like motherly quality and attitude and stuff. So yeah, Laura Linney is my pick.
All right, so Jordan going with Laura Linney. Jonathan.
This was difficult to recast because there are numerous actresses who could play this, but none who can duplicate it. But I think I found one that is kind of close and is starting to play maternal roles now. And I could see the maternal desperation and the dark humorous side in her. And I went with Rachel McAdams. So, yeah. Oh my gosh, she's lovely. Anyway, Rachel McAdams. Yeah, Rachel McAdams.
She's aging like fine wine. I'll say that.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
But Rachel McAdams has that maternal desperation now that I see in her characters. Like, are you there, God? It's me, Margaret. Like, I could see that concern there, and you can see the maternal instincts kicking in certain serious scenes in that movie. And also she plays a mother in Southpaw as well. I think she can handle things. But also she has that humorous side of her, that humorous range that you could laugh at her desperation and laugh at the most confused situations like game night, where she witnesses a person dying near the airplane. It's like, oh no, he died.
Yeah. One of the best lines. Yeah.
It was so freaking funny.
I can hear that cadence in certain scenes throughout Home Alone from her as Kate McAllister. So that's what I went with, Rachel McAdams.
All right, so Jonathan going with Rachel McAdams.
And I think that like one of the main things we want to have all our people to just scream out, Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
they have to be able to do that, right?
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right, Richie.
Yeah, so I went with someone who's like getting decent roles, not only on film but like television, and like she's I think she's still trying to break out in film, but like someone I can for that motherly instinct. I went with Kelly Cuoco. I think like I could see her playing that role. Like she's in her like TV roles at the moment, like especially in like Based on a True Story, where she has to like deal with like very very like intense situations with like like having the actions of tracking down like piecing together clues of like a serial killer. Like she's very good at acting like exasperated and like acting off like very wacky situations, and I can just I think she fit that sort of the motherly role really well, and then she's got really good comedic chops, and I think that sort of role would fit her pretty well. So I went with Kelly Cuoco.
Okay, Kelly Cuoco. Chris.
I went with Suzanne Summers. I feel like we've seen her play two famous TV moms, most specifically Step by Step. I think she is awesome. I think she's funny. I think she, we have the loving quality, but at the same time, kind of like the mom who kind of be like, hey, stop being a butthead, which is kind of what I see like you see in Catherine Harrow's character and kind of what you need in that role. I think that she is perfect to play the role. And it didn't help that when I was younger, I remember watching the show and she was hot as hell.
Well, she invented the Thigh Master, right? So she kept in shape.
Oh, yeah.
You remember those infomercials?
And I just got the Step by Step song in my head. Step by step, day by day, different.
All right, so Chris going with Suzanne Summers. And I'm again sticking with my time period, sort of late '80s, early '90s, kind of around that time. I went with a mom who I think has very similar energy in another movie, and I talk about when I bring her up. I went with Sally Field. I think Sally Field kind of has a very similar energy. If you look at like Mrs. Doubtfire, I think she's got a very similar energy to the role of Mrs. Doubtfire, with the mom with 3 kids and that, sort of dealing with kids running amok and a crazy husband, dealing with stressful situations. When she's freaking out at the party and whatnot. She could do the freak out energy. When she screams Kevin, I could definitely see her doing that. When she's screaming at the end of Mr. Doubtfire, just oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. When she's doing that thing at the end, she's great. But you can also see her as that loving mom, who really does care. At her center, she's got the acting chops, obviously, but she's done plenty of comedic stuff in her time. So I think she could do really balance that energy, and she's got that mom energy. I just think it really works. So yeah, I went with kind of that era, Sally Field for my energy, my pick on that one. So running them down one more time, we'll go with you got Jordan's pick of Laura Linney. We got Jonathan's of Rachel McAdams. Richie has Kaylee Cuoco. Chris has Suzanne Summers. And I have Sally Field. So there you go.
I like that you referred to as Jonathan's Rachel McAdams. Like, she's mine now.
Yeah.
Mine.
Yeah.
Right. That's right. All right. Jordan, we'll kick it off with you. What you got?
So this is one I don't really have like a big explanation for each one, but I just kind of sort of have them ranked. But probably for my number 4, I have Kaylee Cuoco, just because I know she's 39 now, but she just seems so young to me. I don't know. She just feels younger than, and I don't know what it is, but and she's too hot too.
I feel like they were around the same age what Kevin and I was.
Yeah.
I mean,
Probably so, but for whatever reason, she just looks younger. I don't know, but and then for my number 3, I have Rachel McAdams. And I love me some Richie McAdams. She's probably one of my favorite actresses working today. She's really talented, but I don't know. I just feel like maybe I'd like to see her in a few more kind of like motherly roles. I don't know. She's done a couple, but and then for the opposite reason, Sally Field feels too old to me. I don't know what it is, but it's my number 2. But it's just like I think of like Forrest Gump or something like that. I
literally cited a movie where she has 3 kids of the same age. That's Mrs. Doubtfire.
I know, but
it's and she's even younger in my time period of late 80s than that. So
well, I'm kind of splitting hairs here. Like she is number 2. She still could do it. I think she could do it, but it's close. But yeah, Suzanne Summers, you just picked a good one because I grew up with Step by Step and like her being the mom there and like I could see her doing all that stuff. She may be like, I don't know, a little more quiet kind of, but I mean I think she could pull it off. So I'll go Suzanne Summers.
Okay.
Quiet or meek. Like meek might be a good word for her.
Okay. All right. Jonathan, what do you
got? Number 4 is Kaylee Cuoco. Because I just don't. The only thing I've seen her is 8 Simple Rules and The Big Bang Theory, and that's it. I mean, she's just playing that cool, stubborn, blonde.
Watch more serious stuff. Watch Flight Attendant. Watch.
I've seen Flight Attendant. It wasn't for me. I didn't.
Watch Based on True Story. It's good.
Oh, I love Flight Attendant. It's so good.
Okay, well, anyway, but Kaylee Cuoco, I just see her just play the blonde bombshell, like the dumbfounded bombshell. So she needs to, get more maternal roles going. Suzanne Summers is number 3. I've seen a few episodes of Step by Step. I think Jordan said it. I think she plays a little too quiet for me. I don't see like the maternal humorous desperation, and I emphasize humorous, so I don't see that as much. Laura Linney, not bad. I like that choice. The one movie you forgot to mention was You Can Count on Me. She plays a mom in that, and that she has a little desperation, and it's a little funny at parts. And
there's a blind spot for me. So.
Yeah, she can play that desperate maternal instinct in there. But Sally Field in the 80s era, of course, yeah, she could play that. I mean, even though it's a little too familiar with the Mrs. Doubtfire character. I mean, it's unfair to say that because we're already familiar with that nowadays in the present. But Sally Field can do it, and she can display that anger and humor at the airport quite well. So she could play over the top. She's one of the few actresses who could play over the top extremely well. So that's it.
Richie.
Yeah, okay. Number 4, I have Suzanne Summers. I didn't watch much Step by Step, and also I only really became familiar with her because of a South Park parody. I don't know who's Suzanne Summers. I didn't know who Suzanne Summers was. So yeah. And then number 3, I got Laura Linney. No, for a real reason. I just like the other two better. But Laura Linney is a decent choice. I wouldn't mind. she was in this role, it'd be cool. I think she's an underrated actress. I think no one talks about her enough. I think she's good. And also see the Savages with her and Philty Mahal. And I'm talking about Rachel McAdams. I think I don't know. I think she's got the dramatic chops and like the comedic chops pulled off. But yeah, as soon as you said Sally Field and Mrs. Doubtfire, I'm like, of course. Damn it. So yeah, I had to put it number 1. So Sally Field.
Sometimes a similar role is a similar role and it just works. So why not? Why not? Chris, what do you got?
So this is really tough for me because I like Haley Cuoco, but I'm going to go her with number 4. I mean, she's amazing in Flight Attendant if you haven't seen that show. I still need to see Based on True Story, but I really need to see more motherly roles from her. I really like Rachel McAdams, but I don't really feel like I've seen her play enough like mom roles. Laura Linney, number 2, she was a pretty close choice for me. I think she's done some amazing roles. I feel like she's played some pretty solid moms. But yeah, man, once she said Mrs. Doubtfire and Sally Field, over.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, and then mine, just because, I've only ever seen Big Bang, and I just haven't seen anything else she's done. Kaylee Cuoco, yeah, she does still feel like a college student to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
5 kids, I just don't see it. Yeah, I just don't see it. Yeah, so sorry, Richie. Some of your picks today, everybody. I love you, but some of your picks aren't clicking today, except for Bruce Dern. So far. I think I'll go Suzanne Summers just because I only really know her from Step by Step and Three's Company. That's really all I know her from. And I just can't see like the kind of angry freak out side of her, like a little bit. I haven't seen that much of her. So maybe she's done it in a few roles, but I haven't seen that much of her. I think she's pretty sweet and most of the things I've seen. I'll go Rachel McAdams after that because I did actually see Are You There, God It's Me, Margaret, Jonathan. She's great in that movie, and that was the first time I've seen her really play a mom. So she really showed me another side of her. I think she's really good, but I want to see more of that. So I can't quite go number 1, but if I see more of it in the future, I'm down. And then I really like Laura Linney, like in the Truman Show. I think she's great, and she's got the energy. Like when Truman basically kidnaps her, is like trying to drive her out of town. Like she's freaking out. Like I can see that energy, with her for Kate and really roll with that, but also play that kind of, sweet mom, sweet wife kind of thing. So, I like the Laura Linney pick. I kind of always did. So, so there we go. So tallying up the votes here, we have got Kaylee Cuoco with 4. Unfortunately, sorry, Richie. It's not quite there today. Got Suzanne Summers with 9. We've got Rachel McAdams with 10, Laura Linney with 12, and Sally Field with 15. So I'll take Sally Field. So there we go.
But I feel like
too good.
For me, if you're picking like older casting, it's going to be hard to hook me. But then for Austin, if you're picking super new, current, it might be harder to hook Austin. I don't know. That's just my.
No, I mean I pick newer stuff because it just depends on what movie. I've done plenty of modern picks. I mean, we'll definitely do that for like Princess Bride. I'm not going to go older for Princess Bride. I'm going to go modern because it's an older movie. Okay. So you know what I mean. Anchorman, I'm going to go 70s just because it seems appropriate given the fact that the movie takes place in the 70s. So I just think it'll be fun when we get there, but it'll be a gamble. We'll see. It didn't really pay off for Pulp Fiction.
I want to highlight Acres of Movies' comment. Catherine Hahn was my second choice.
I thought about it.
Oh yeah.
I didn't pick it. I didn't pick it because I figured someone else would have picked it.
Okay. Richie, how do you pick Catherine Hahn? I might have rolled with that actually, or at least given it second.
Yeah.
I would have definitely done that.
That's a good one.
Also, Acres of Movies. He works in the casting in the UK, so that's cool. So
awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. I'm glad you liked it. I'm glad you enjoyed the show. Yeah, Acres tuned in for all of them, so I appreciate that. All right, so now we're getting into we're gonna go with one half of course, the Wet Bandits. We got to talk about the Wet Bandits, and we're gonna start with Daniel Stern as Marv. The iron on his face. Yeah, so let's get with kind of the more muscle, the big oaf, the big kind of level of Marv. So let's get a little bit of Marv here very quickly, and one of his more famous kind of freak out scenes.
He hits him.
Screaming bloody murder.
One of the great screams in cinema history. Oh, it's great. Right. And again, we could not really almost see anybody else in these roles, but we're going to do our best. But Daniel Stern is great as Marv. We all love him. But we're going to do our best here. So, all right, we are going to go, I believe, to Jonathan first. So I know it's a tough one, but what you got, Jonathan?
All right. So fun fact, though, about the tarantula. So they added the high-pitched scream post-production.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if you scream with a tarantula on your face, it's gonna bite you.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, that.
Yeah. So he
Right,
just had to
yeah.
mime it, like kind of a.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they just had a
Yeah.
post production. Yeah.
I didn't.
But was
So
it still
anyway,
him
yeah,
screaming it? So,
Yeah, so
Might have
this
still
was
been screaming in it just in ADR. Yeah, but later.
okay,
ADR.
yeah.
Yes.
ADR worked. Anyway, so this was one of the tougher ones for me because I wanted to see one with tall stature, but also a huge oaf with like very funny chops, conveying both the stupid side of him with the menacing side of him, and also like some hilariosity inside of him. So I went with Keegan Michael Key. I could just picture him doing that high pitched scream when Kevin does put a tarantula on his face. Like I could hear that. But also I could see that huge oaf side of him, when Harry talks to Marv in the van about numerous things, about putting shutting the water, or keeping the faucet open, the house, his calling card, we're the wet bandits, and also just running away from the from Kevin playing that videotape of him just blowing up the firecrackers, all that
Yeah.
stuff, and saying that
He's head to the doggy door, all that.
snakes in there, snakes. So
Little sticks.
yeah, that's what I went with. And I can see him inducing that pain with all those traps, especially the nail. I can see him fall down and screaming. So I'm gonna kill that kid. So yeah, Keegan Michael Key.
Okay, so Keegan Michael Key for Jonathan. Richie.
Yeah, I didn't when casting this. I didn't necessarily go for like sort of someone that looks like Marvin. Necessarily. I sort of went with the guy who's known for playing an idiot and as known for like physical humor. I went with Charlie Day. I think Charlie Day is a dude. Is a dude like he's you've seen him do his sort of freak outs. If you've seen Horrible Bosses, I could see him doing all these all those pratfalls. He's got like this sort of distinct voice. I could see him sort of delivering those lines. Yeah, I could just see like he's just got like that resume of playing a sort of lovable, but sort of almost less lovable, but sort of clueless idiot and sidekick. I could definitely see him and playing off Harry pretty well here. So I think Charlie Day. I just think Charlie Day would fit. So yeah, that's my pick.
Okay, so Charlie Day. For Richie, Chris.
I am going to go with Will Arnett. I feel like we've seen Will Arnett. He has solid. He can play serious, but he can also play comedic. I feel like he can obviously do the practical falls. Like I can just imagine him delivering these lines to Kevin and trying to go after him. Like I think he is a perfect casting. He definitely kind of plays that like dope or an idiot, but at the same time he's kind of menacing at the same time.
Okay, so Chris goes with Will Arnett. This one might have been the hardest one to cast, but I went with somebody again of my time period, kind of late '80s, maybe early '90s. Somebody who could who's done a little bit of comedy and been a muscle in henchman and kind of movies as well. And I think that's important because Marv kind of is the muscle of the group, but he's kind of a dope and a buffoon. But I'm with Gary Busey. So I think Gary Busey. And again, he's a taller guy, like he's a little over 6 feet, and standing next to my Harry. I won't spoil that, but he'll look very tall. But he could do the the goofy facial expressions, as you can even see from this pic. Like he can contort his face and be weird. He's done comedy. We've seen him be
and he plays a good evil shithead. God. Oh.
Yeah, I mean he can play evil in like Lethal Weapon and Under Siege and all that. But he's also been kind of sweet and lovable in like Rookie of the Year. If you remember, he's like Chet Steffen, Rookie of the Year. He's a conspiracy nut job in Black Sheep. In that movie, like running around with camo on his face and just being a weirdo. Like I think he's got the range to do all the different parts of Marv. To just be like silly and goofy, but be kind of kind of menacing and scary when he needs to be. When he's like, I smash his face with an iron. Again, do that physical humor, especially in the face. I think Gary Busey could easily do that. So, Gary Busey's my pick.
He'd just be playing Gary Busey.
Yeah, well, he's always playing Gary Busey. But yeah, there you go. All right, Jordan, what you got?
So for mine, I went with like less of a comedic one and more of like they're bank robbers or like whatever kind of robbers.
Thieves.
They're like
They're just home robbers.
yeah, like home
Yeah.
invaders or whatever, and they're criminals, and I can kind of almost see them in like another life being almost kind of mobsters kind of guys, maybe like the dopey mobsters, but I can see them be like kind of loosely connected, like just having someone say like, I want you to go to this house and I want you to steal all their stuff and then bring it back to me. I got my eye on this house kind of thing. And so I went with one that may be a little less familiar for some of you, but I'll explain to you why I picked him. I went with Michael Imperioli for my pick.
Did you not change the pick last minute?
I don't think that
I thought that was your pick for the next role.
Oh, you're right. Sorry.
Okay, spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. You're right.
Yeah,
I was gonna say,
spoiler.
You're
Like-
on the wrong one.
he's a better fit for
this is who you have.
Harry, so
This is who you have.
yeah.
This one.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, David Dasmalchian. Okay. Yeah, so good, because I was thinking, man, like I didn't pick like the real comedic guy, but David Dasmalchian, he can do it. Okay, so yeah, and I just think that David Dasmalchian, he it's just really creepy, really like, especially like if he's gonna be the creepy guy creeping through your yard and then like sticking his head through the doggy door and being the one that like Kevin's really is afraid of, and yeah, just like being the guy that's going in, he's like clogging all the like drains up. He's becoming like coming up with the wet bandits with the wet bandits area, and then just like saying like, I forget the line, but he's like, "What do you want on your tombstone, kid?" or whatever, and just like being the guy that's like really like pissed off, and then I can see him being the guy that does the scream with the tarantula, like on his face too, like, and he's just a really creepy dude. I've been seeing him on a few podcasts recently, and he's one that's really coming into his own with what's the superhero one where he James Gunn. I'm not having a brain fart on. Yeah, Suicide Squad. He's in that, and like he's just like a really creepy dude. But I think he can also be funny. You can see him on Late Night with the Devil, being like the kind of like a little suaveness to him. I mean, I think he has a slight little suave for Marv. So yeah, David Dasmalchian. Sorry.
All right, so Jonathan's got Keegan Michael Key. Richie has Charlie Day. We've got Chris's pick of Will Arnett. We got my pick of Gary Busey, and then Jordan's pick of David Dasmalchian. All right, so Jonathan, you're starting the rankings here.
Okay, so I have a huge gap between the top two and the bottom two. So I'm sorry, I cannot buy David Dasmalchian as Marv. I think I cannot buy him as a dope. I really can't. I think he's just he plays too many creepy characters. So I need.
He also on some podcasts. Like he's a really goofy guy in these podcasts. So.
Man, that's my problem. I haven't seen him as a.
Yeah.
I haven't seen his goofy side yet.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So that would be my number 4. Charlie Day, number 3. I think he would be too annoying for me. He would be too screechy for me all the way through.
Up his voice, Caro.
I'm sorry, but I'm not a huge fan of Charlie Day. So, but Charlie Day, like, he would be screechy all throughout the movie, whereas Marv is screechy like at the trap scene because he's in pain. So now the top 2 was hard. I'll be honest, because I could see both of them. I put Gary Busey number 2 because I don't see him like being too much of an oaf, but I see that menacing side, like you just demonstrated, like I could smash his face with an iron. Like I could see that in the movie. So I went with Will Arnett by default because I see a little more of the oaf side in him and humorous side in him, but I don't see as much menacing presence in there. So it was very close between those two, but I went with Arnett number 1, just by default. It was very close between him and Busey, but yeah.
Richie?
Yeah, look, I appreciate you going thinking outside the box, Jordan, but David Dasmalchian's not. He does not. Number 3, I got Will Arnett. I think he'd be fine, but I just like these other picks better. Number 2, I've got Gary Busey. I can definitely see it. I can. But I'm almost too intubating. But yeah, number 1, I got Keegan Michael Key. I just think, I think it works. I think, think doesn't have to really like look the part necessarily, but I think he could match the comedic energy and while also not maybe even pull off a bit of doing anything. So I'll go Keegan Michael Key, number 1.
All right, Chris.
So my number 4 is David, and I feel like that's only because I haven't seen him do anything like dopey. He's just evil. He plays kind of playing a creepy dude. Like I don't really buy him in that role. At least I haven't seen him in that role. And unfortunately,
You get a little more suave in that way.
Yeah, he's cool.
He's in the Late Night with the Devil, sort of. He's moving away from that stuff a little.
Yeah,
taking a step.
But my number 2.
Number 3.
I'm sorry. Number 3 is a Keegan Michael Key. I think he's funny, but I don't really feel like he has that menacing side to him. Number 2, I love Charlie Day for it, but it was definitely close. But Gary Busey, I think, can definitely do both sides of it. I think he can be definitely menacing and also an idiot really, really well. That's my pick.
Okay. I'm gonna go Charlie Day at the bottom of this one. I don't see him as the muscle. Like Marv is supposed to be like the muscle of the group, and he's supposed to be
for muscle.
I don't see him as the muscle menacing guy. Like I just don't. He's a goof. And he's a complete buffoon and an idiot. So I see that side of it, but I think he needs to have a slight tinge of menacing to him. Then I just don't see that with Charlie Day. I'll go Dallas Malchian next because again, I hope he does more comedy because I've seen tinges of it in like the Ant-Man movies and stuff, which you didn't even bring up, but a little bit of it, but not really. I've seen him more in horror. I'll go Keegan Michael Key after that because I think he can do the comedy. Maybe he could do menacing. Maybe he's got the range. He's starting to do a few more outside the box roles. But I think Will Arnett's got that blend. Yeah, he could be kind of scary and a dick and but he could also be a buffoon and be silly. I think he's done enough of both. So I'll go with that as mine.
Can I ask something?
Yeah.
Because I just thought of it then. If I picked Vince Vaughn, would you put it?
Ooh,
maybe
that would have been a dope pick.
Yeah, that would have been. It would have been a great pick, actually.
Yeah,
Jonathan's disagreeing. I think it would have been okay. I think it'd be all right.
Heavily disagreeing.
Okay,
so that's another time. So
okay, but Jordan, what you got for your rankings here?
Well, one of the reasons why I kind of like Vince Vaughn because sorry, this isn't like shade at anyone. I don't like any of these picks, but I think it's because this role is so hard to cast. It just
I agree
because you got to have the menacing quality. You got to have the humor, and you got to have a lot of things and the dopiness. But so I just kind of gave it just a whatever kind of ranking. Not that I hate these picks. I don't. It's just that it's just hard to rank. I just don't know where to really go. So. For my number 4, I just have Gary Busey just because I don't know. It's just hard to see. He's too over the top in everything. If he's gonna be serious, he's over the top. If he's gonna be goofy and silly, he's over the top. I don't know. I just don't see it. But Will Arnett for my number 2, just because there's something about his voice. He has a voice that it's just really not iconic. That's not the right word, but it's a very recognizable voice. He does those Reese's commercials, and you can clearly tell it's him. And I don't know, something about that throws me off. But and then for number 2, I have Keegan Michael Key. I think that he's funny, but is he menacing? No, but he's funny. And then I have Charlie Day for number 1, just because I can see him maybe getting just a little menacing. Not that I love the pick necessarily, but I kind of just like see him being the guy that's plugging up all the drains and flooding houses and coming up with with a wet bandit, Harry, and then just being I want to smash his face with an iron and all that stuff. I can kind of see that, so I'll go Charlie Day.
Okay, so this was kind of all over the place. We got Dalsmalchian with 5, Charlie Day with 10, Busey with 11, and we will need to break the tie in the comments because Keegan Michael Key and Will Arnett both have 12.
Come on, guys.
So nobody's
I haven't been on the board. Come on.
Come on, Will
we gotta break a tie.
Come
so
on, Will
you can
Arnett.
lead to the
Will
comments.
Arnett.
We will go to the comments. So the first one to comment, Will Arnett versus Keegan Michael Key, and we will see who breaks this tie. So we need to go to the chat. So anybody watching, Leo's got
That's
Will
all.
Arnett.
Yes.
All right.
Just barely, because a second later, Keegan came up too.
Yeah, just a second later.
All
All right. Well, as I said to Richie, one of the other ones, make better picks. All right. Anyways, moving on. All right.
I think that I had one where I
just
didn't get
kidding.
any. I think.
I'm just kidding,
But,
Jonathan. I'm just kidding.
all
So,
good.
all right. Yeah, we've all been there. I bombed out a couple of these again with my older picks.
I have
bomb out all the time. So
I'm a rookie on the show, so I was like, you're picking.
so I've bombed plenty of times with my 70s picks, Jonathan. So,
yeah,
so
I
don't feel
have
bad.
bombed so many times. It's ridiculous on this show. Yeah.
All right, we're gonna move up to Harry, of course, played by Joe Pesci. Of course, same year as Goodfellas, so he had quite the year because he had a Oscar-winning performance and the top-grossing movie of the year. So
Yeah.
he was all over the place in 1990. So let's get a quick look at Harry. No, tomorrow, right? Ed, now.
Now.
All right. So yeah, of course, we're recasting Joe Pesci here, who's great as Harry, but we'll do our best here. So who's up first? I believe Richie is up first on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Richie, we'll kick us off, man. Here we go.
I'm casting this. I want someone of that sort of that stature, but can have that like sort of almost like Napoleon complex of like being but still being very tough. But like being and he can play annoyed very well. So I went specifically 90s because he's too old now. But 90s Danny DeVito. I think 90s Danny DeVito would be great. He could be like grouchy, he could be bossy, but he can also be intimidating. He can pull off frustrated very well. If you've seen like things like like Twins and stuff, or like Matilda. He's a great like sort of villain in Matilda.
Yes, he is.
For reference is like he's like the great villain in Matilda, and he does does a great like physical comedy, and I just think he would have a lot of fun with this role, in playing off I guess Will Arnett now. I think as Marv, and I think that it's good chemistry. So. 90s, Danny DeVito.
Okay, so Richie goes with a slightly younger Danny DeVito. Chris, what do you got?
I went with on this one I went with the Robert De Niro. I think he has the chops to sort of be the mastermind behind things, sort of the Goodfellas.
So he just went with the other Goodfella.
Kind of the
signature look,
kind of the. But he also has the comedic chops as well. We have analyzed this, analyzed that. Of course, we have things like Shark Tale. I think that his ability is very versatile. Like so, I can see him leading Marv into the house. I can see him sort of being the mastermind. Because you need someone that's tough, and you need someone that also is gonna give them direction as far as what they're doing. He can do it.
Okay. All right, so Chris picks Robert De Niro.
And Kez goes Ray Liotta.
Ray Liotta. Yeah, that's right.
Jordan. No.
Which is also a good fellow.
I actually would have picked Ray Liotta. Okay.
No, actually, just pick the guy who makes the wigs in Goodfellas. That guy.
Yes.
Maury. No. So, no, but I'm going to go with the guy who has played kind of a gangster and a mobster, and he's played a heavy in a lot of movies, but he's also done some comedy, and he's very likable when he wants to be likable, but he can be very scary and intimidating when he needs to be. And he's also a shorter guy as well. He's 5'4". I want Bob Hoskins. I think Bob Hoskins could absolutely nail this because Hoskins, if you look specifically at Roger Rabbit, plays a guy who's very serious for most of the movie, but he's annoyed with his co-star, with Roger Rabbit. He gets fully annoyed with him constantly. And then he does a lot of the physical comedy at the end. He's doing the slapstick stuff when he's trying to make the weasels laugh. He can do the facial expressions, do the slapstick when he needs to be, but he's not being like trying to be funny. He just kind of is funny in his reactions and whatnot. But he could be the brains of the operation. Like, he's in he's done a lot of dramatic stuff, and I think he could be that heavy, and you could buy him as sort of the mastermind, trying to run the show, but also be a buffoon when he needs to be. So, and he's also got the stature. I mean, next to any one of these guys. So, I think he's kind of a similar actor, and I think he could similarly pull it off. So, I'm going to go with Bob Hoskins as my pick.
Yep.
So, all right, Jordan.
Well, I already kind of spoiled mine earlier, but you can just throw him up there, Michael Imperioli. So I went just because I thought about Danny DeVito. I'm like, that's a little too on the nose. I don't like to go like on the like
a little water again, Jordan.
Weird, yeah.
I think it's when you're leaning over towards your bed a little bit, it kind of just breaks it up a little bit.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to check my mic after this because I'm not that far from it. But yeah, and like it's a little kind of more like niche. But I highly recommend, if you have not seen White Lotus, you should see that show because he's in season 2 and he's got like one of the main roles in it, and like he's just so good. He plays the dad to I think one of the kids in at the resort in like Italy, I think they're in, and yeah, man, he just is like really cool, but like a different kind of role for him. But and then also of course Goodfellas, like we're all like kind of on a Goodfellas wavelength, but and then also in The Sopranos and I think that they went on to that Many Saints of Newark too, carried on to that, and like even Shark Tale, Chris mentioned that he's a voice in that also, but he I think that he's a really solid pick that's not too on the nose, but I think can do the kind of tough guy, but get a little frustrated with the people that are next to him, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
So Jordan picks Michael Imperioli. If you didn't remember, in Goodfellas, he's Spider, the one who Joe Pesci shoots. So he's got a direct connection to Joe Pesci.
Right.
He's frustrated with him in that movie and shoots him.
Yeah.
But all right, Jonathan, round us out. What you got?
R.I.P. Spider.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, wow. Okay. So I guess compared to y'all's choices, I went outside the box a little bit. So again, I went mid 2010 style. So I wanted an actor who could play funny and bossy, because he would be he would know what to do, but also he could boss Marv around, and also can induce some pain as well. I mean, he can just curse a little bit, without cursing, like freaking. So I also want to go with an actor who also curses a lot in movies. I went with Danny McBride. So I could see Danny McBride play a robber here. I could see him play with a thief with my Marv here, Keegan Michael Key, and I could see just Danny McBride just boss Marv around with his ideas and also insulting Marv, like kids are stupid. I know I was. You still are, Marv. So I could see that, and I'll go see him like trying not to curse because he curses a lot in movies and shows and all that stuff. And also he has that menacing side to him, when he plays a robber, like, he threatens Kevin towards the end, trying to bite one of his fingers one at a time. So, that's what I went with, Danny McBride.
Okay. So
I forgot to show off these little guys. I got my little.
That's awesome.
Out, so
I like the iron.
That Harry and Marv.
Do you have a Kevin too?
Yep, I got a Kevin. There you go.
Oh,
there he is.
That's awesome.
With the iron and all that. Yeah.
You got to smash his face with an iron.
Yeah.
Going down the picks one more time, we got Richie of Danny DeVito, Chris's pick of De Niro. We've got my pick of Bob Hoskins. We got Jordan's pick of Michael Imperioli, and we got Jonathan's of Danny McBride. So those are your options on the table. Richie, whenever you're ready, kick off.
Yeah. So number 4 I got there. Michael Pirelli. I don't know. I haven't seen, like, it's too serious, and I haven't seen like enough that he can do that sort of, the comedy aspects of things. So yes,
watch White Lotus season 2. Oh.
Yeah.
And Mad Dogs with him.
I was in that. Number 3, I've got Danny McBride. I mean, he might be able to do it. To me, it's like very similar to like his role in 30 Minutes or Less, where he like the Nick Swartzen is Soda. He might be all right. Just I don't know if he's the right pick for Mark, in my opinion. Number 2, Robert. I got Robert De Niro. I think he'd be all right. But like it's not like I. Yeah, I just think Bob Hoskins would be a lot better, and I feel like Robert De Niro is just maybe I don't know. I don't know if it's the right role for him. But Bob Hoskins, I could definitely see filling that role, especially around this time. So I'll go, Bob Hoskins.
Okay, Chris.
So this was tougher, but for me, I really like Danny Boyd. I think he's talented, but I don't really buy him as kind of that kind of role. So I'm gonna go with Danny Boyd at number 4. Bob Hoskins. I like Bob Hoskins a lot, but I don't really see him in kind of the menacing role at all. Danny DeVito. I think it was honestly a toss-up. Initially, I was going to do Danny DeVito, and initially when you said Michael Rapoli, I'm like, who the hell is he? And then I looked him up. Like he played an amazing character in the show Lucifer. He did an awesome job in Mad Dogs, which was like one season out on Amazon. And of course, he played in Sopranos. He's so freaking good. So, man, definitely an outside of the box pick, man. But he's awesome for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So I'm only really over the moon about one of these picks. So the rest is like just ranking them. Danny McBride, I'm at the bottom only because I see him more as Marv. I think if Jonathan, you picked him as Marv, I'm down. I just see him more of as like the big oaf muscle of the group, and you pick him as Marv, I'm with you, but I don't see him as Harry. I think you just picked the wrong role for that one, in my opinion. I'm going to go Imperioli after that, just because I'm not as familiar with him beyond the stuff in the 90s, so I haven't seen modern TV with him, Jordan. I'm sorry. I just don't watch modern TV, so you're going to have
love
modern TV.
White Lotus. I think it's kind of up your alley. But,
yeah, I'll go De Niro after that by default. Just because again, I don't know, like maybe, he doesn't do a lot of physical comedy. I've seen him do like the sarcastic comedy and stuff like that, but we'll see there. And I like Danny DeVito, and I think DeVito could kind of nail all aspects of this if I had to pick out of the 4. So I'll roll with DeVito on this one. Jordan.
Yeah. I was gonna say the same exact thing. If you would have picked Danny McBride for Marv, like I would have been in for that. I just don't see him as a Harry though. So yeah, but like he's a great actor and I like him. I just don't see him in quite that role. But and then for number 3, I have Danny DeVito just because I thought of him, and then I'm like that is just on the nose. It's like making like a copy of him kind of thing. So I'm like I just kind of like to go like at least like a step out of the box. I feel like that's like exact, like almost exact on him, but he would work for sure. But then for my number 2, I have Robert De Niro. I can see it, but there's something about Bob Hoskins though. That's like an inspired pick. I think the Bob Hoskins just like fit. That's a name that didn't even cross my mind or anything. And yeah, that like he has the look. He has like the vibe about him and everything. So it's kind of neck and neck between him and De Niro, but I'll give the edge to Hoskins.
Okay, and Jonathan.
I'm just watching Home Alone 2 just to make myself feel better. Anyway, okay, real quick because I want to move on. Imperioli 4 because I'm not really interested. I mean, I'm not familiar with his work because besides The Sopranos and Goodfellas and stuff like that, and I actually did like him in The Call, that terrible Halle Berry movie.
He's in that.
Yeah. So he was all right in it. Anyway, Robert De Niro, I think he's just too much of a great presence, great actor to pull that off. So I think he's just a legend there. So I put him at number 3. Danny DeVito, I do see as Harry. I could see him boss around, do the physical humor, but Bob Hoskins.
I almost had it.
Yeah, it's just, Bob Hoskins. It's dynamic. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So McBride will be 5 points, Imperial with 8, De Niro 11, Danny DeVito 12, and Bob Hoskins will take that. So my pick of Hoskins on that one. So,
All right.
so there you go.
Rest
So
in peace to the great Bob.
So it'll be Bob Hoskins and Will Arnett as the Wet Bandits so far. So we'd have to time travel that somehow. I don't know. Yeah, but again,
Thanks, Leo. Thanks, Leo.
Yeah. All right. So we are going up to, of course, the star of the film, Kevin McAllister himself, Macaulay Culkin. So yeah, let's get another. We saw a little bit of him, obviously with Kate in that one scene. But let's get a little more of Kevin. Of course, we had to get the scream in there. Of course, we had to, right?
Yeah, but you guys know that there's a deleted scene from Home Alone 2 where he's in the hotel and he's
doing the same thing.
He's doing the same exact thing, putting stuff on, but maybe they thought it was too much of a repeat or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
There are a lot of repeats in Home Alone too.
Yeah, that sure is. All right, so yeah, let's talk about Kevin McAllister, of course. The great Macaulay Culkin, who's perfect in this movie. But yeah, we're gonna do our best here to round it out. So, Chris, I believe you start us out here first.
Yes. So a little bit of out of the box pick, but at the same time, I don't think so. I feel like we saw this actor play a prominent role, kind of that kid, kind of a little bit kind of figuring out the world, maybe a little scared. You know what? I'm gonna go with Sam Levine. I think he's perfect in this role. I think I kind of went off Freaks and Geeks. Kind of a little bit of a theme, obviously. James Franco playing the bully, and Sam Levine playing that role. I think he's perfect for it. I think he can definitely have the chops to be Kevin McAllister and to go up against these wet bandits.
He can see that current setting. Is he still at home? What a loser!
Yeah.
All right, so Chris goes with Sam Levine of Freaks and Geeks. So yeah, I mean, we've kind of danced around the show a little bit with an earlier pick, but I'm gonna go with another, fairly prominent, especially in the '80s, child actor that we danced around. But I think he was probably even in the running. Who knows when they were casting this role? Fred Savage from the Wonder Years. I mean, I think around this time he's the other kind of very prominent kid actor going around between the Wonder Years and the Princess Bride and some of his back and forth narration of that one, the Wizard. I mean, he's kind of all over the place around my period that I'm setting it in, and yeah, you could see. I mean, he does everything on the Wonder Years. I mean, he's sweet, but he can be snarky and get frustrated, and same thing with the Princess Bride. So he's just kind of the other big star around my time period. So not a ton of options to go around, but I think Fred Savage, he's a really solid actor, and I think he could kind of pull off the Kevin McAllister. He could be cute, but also be kind of do the physical stuff at the end. So there you go. So Jordan.
So I was this close to picking Fred Savage because of my Jason Hervey pick. They could have
right.
Yeah, but like I don't know. I just didn't ultimately go with him, and maybe when we do our rankings, I'll tell you why. But for my pick, I went with one who actually starred with Macaulay Culkin in a different movie called The Good Son. I went with Elijah Wood. So it's like a very young Elijah Wood. You think of him from like the 90s when he's just really young. He's doing like the like Radio Flyer. He's doing The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. He's doing just all of that kind of stuff. And yeah, I think that Elijah Wood have a lot of attitude. I can see him with the BB gun being like hello and like just like popping him in the face or like I can almost even see him doing like the scream. So I'll go with Elijah Wood.
All right, so kid Elijah Wood at the other side of the Good Son of Macaulay. Jonathan.
Okay, here we go. So again, mid 2010s, and I went with a young actor that has started in a very prominent role, and I think this was his movie, aside from the other actress. And I went with Jacob Tremblay. Yeah, Home Alone. Yeah, Home Alone kid. So Home Alone, he's fairly young. He's like 8, and that was just around the same time as Room, but when it came out, and he has that. He would display that bratty quality that we see a little bit from in Dr. Sleep, and also convey that fear when he thinks that he's the man of the house, and then you can hear him scream when he sees Old Man Marley, going and then just runs back into the house. But
That's
also,
had to be added in post that Marley scream, because that's like a blood curdling scream.
yes, it was. No, but you could see that fear when he sees the wet bandits, either like outside the house or inside the house, when directly face to face, and you could see that sense in fear in Dr. Sleep. That Dr. Sleep I won't spoil, but there's a scene in there that is so disturbing that you feel scared for the kid, and I feel that you need to feel a little scared for Macaulay Culkin's character Kevin, because even though he's the kid that we love, you want him to actually be safe. So because he's home alone, he's a kid at the end. So he's very prominent. He's a very prominent young actor in that mid 2010s with Room, The Book of Henry Wonder, Little Moment of the Predator, and then there's that little bratty side of him in Good Boys. So that's what I went with. Jacob Tremblay.
Jacob Tremblay for Jonathan. Richie, round us out.
Yeah, so I went with like a more modern pick, probably maybe to my detriment, but hey, I got Bruce Dern in here, so. He's a guy that I can definitely see portraying that the kind of smart ass sort of qualities, the kind of doing the wisecracks, and maybe a bit older, but I went with Walker Scoville. He's in he looks about there, but he was in the Adam Project. He did, like as a young sort of Ryan Reynolds. He was really good in that, and I can just see him sort of doing the wisecracks to the wet bandits, and then but also like doing playing being sort of honorable. He's also in like the Percy Jackson TV series on that, playing Percy Jackson. I think he's about 15, but I think he could still play that role, and I think it would be a good sort of breakout role for him as the Adam Project probably should, but it's hard to break out on Netflix. I think this. I just think he's got the charisma and that sort of wit about him that encompasses the Kevin McAllister character. So Walker Scoville.
All right, so Walker Scoville for Richie's pick. I'm running down one more time. We got Chris's pick of the young kind of freaks and geeks Sam Levine. We got my pick of Fred Savage. Jordan's pick of Elijah Wood, Jonathan's of Jacob Tremblay, and Richie's pick of Walker Scoville. So those are your options on the table for Kevin. So Chris, kick off the rankings for this one.
All right. Sorry, I'm trying to finish my ranking. So this is really
you're good.
The hardest thing to do, dude.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is ridiculous. God. I mean, so I want to see more from Walker Scoville, but he was absolutely amazing in the Adam Project, and also I really like him in that show too on Disney Plus. He's awesome in there. Never mind. No, sorry. Jacob Tremblay is my number 4. And then Walker Scoville is my number 3. I'm sorry.
All right. No,
sorry, Jonathan. Elijah Wood. I really like Elijah Wood. But at the top of my list, and I'm very, very biased. But Fred Savage is. I love The Wonder Years. One of my favorite shows ever made. So I got to go with The Wonder Years here.
Come back.
Come back, Jonathan. Come back. For my number 4, I'm gonna go with Sam Levine. I think he's like too old for it. Like even at Freaks and Geeks, and like I just see him more of as like that high school energy rather than like kid, like 8-10 years old. If I've seen something from him even younger than that, I don't know. But I think that was his first role, so I just can't picture it. Walker Scoville, just because I don't see a lot of modern TV and Netflix movies, Richie, so I'm not as familiar with him. I think he's got a good look, but that's all I can go off of. I'll go Elijah Wood just because, again, I think it's a little too like, oh, we just got the other good son. Like, okay, okay, all right, that's a little odd.
But he has the similar qualities,
I guess. But hey. But Jonathan, I've casted Tremblay a lot when we've had to do kid actors. I think he's a great actor. He's got a lot of range, and so you got my vote for Tremblay. So you got my first vote.
All right.
So you might have a shot here. We'll see. But Jordan.
Yeah. So my number 4, I have Sam Levine. I don't see it. I think he's the wrong age, the wrong type, of the wrong. Like it just doesn't fit at all to me. I don't know, but he seems like a cool dude from the Schmodown and stuff. But
I would sell my soul to meet him.
yeah,
How much I would.
Well, I'm trying to get him on here. We've had Schmodown people, so I have reached out.
I know that, but I would fanboy way too hard for that.
Yeah, but
okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, number 3, I have Walker Scoville only because I haven't seen him do anything where he's like young enough. Like I feel like he's like everything I've seen, he's just a little older, and like he is great in that in Project, even in Secret Headquarters. Even though that movie's kind of like whatever, like he's not bad, but yeah, it's my number 3. My number 2, I have Jacob Tremblay. I think he's really good. He could do it, and like it's like pretty close, but he's a little too cutesy for me. That's just the thing. I don't know if he has that.
That's what you want at the end,
and all that.
and innocent.
Yeah, but you need some kind of attitude also too. I don't see him like running around with a BB gun popping people. I don't see it. But Fred Savage, I almost chose him, but then like. So he's my number 1, but like I just haven't seen him do anything like a whole lot where he has a lot of attitude, really. But then I forgot about one movie that Chris Scott actually had on. I think on like one of his original top 64. It's called Vice Versa, though. And,
yes.
And it has Judge Reinhold, and
yes.
It's like a body swap movie, and he's kind of like a young kid with like all the attitude and all that. So he has that, but then I've even seen like some younger roles from him, and when he's playing just a real little kid, little monsters and all that stuff. So yeah, I'll go with Fred Savage number 1. So
okay, Jonathan.
Okay, Sam Levine is number 4. Sorry, Chris.
Yeah,
all right, I get it.
Yeah, too old for me. I went Elijah Wood because Austin said it. It's like we're casting the other good son. Okay,
but that's why it works though, because he's the other.
No, my problem was that I think he has that cute, innocent, vibe there, but I don't see the snarky side of him in Elijah Wood at that time.
See the Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. He's good at
I
that.
have, but I don't buy him in it. Sorry. Fred Savage is number 2. I like him. Actually, it was very close between 2 and 1. Savage displays both of that snarky attitude, that snarky, childish, bratty side, and also the innocent side of him. But to my surprise, Walter Scoville, if he were a little younger, I think it would work, actually. I think that Scoville will have that attitude as well, that snarky attitude, but also that innocent way, that childish way where he can miss his parents, and it's very strong in the Adam Project, and that's why I went with Walter Scoville, because, and it's sort of spoiler alert, it's a time travel movie where he finds out that his father's dead, but so yeah, that's why I went with the Scoville as number 1, because of that thematic quality inside of that character, and he can convey that in Home Alone. So
okay, all right,
yeah,
surprising choice for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's up, Richie?
Number 4, I have Elijah Wood. Not only because of the good son thing. Like Jonathan said, I don't think I haven't seen the snarky thing, and I think what later in his career would suggest he's probably more fitting for the creepier role. Like I could see if they did a remake, like a remake of Good Son, like as adults, he could be the actual Good Son.
Yeah.
He's more of a creepy dude. What's like Come to Daddy and number 3 of Sam Levine. I just haven't seen much of Sam Levine as like of that age. I see him more of like his older stuff. So I don't know. I can't say that he would be a good fit. And number 2, I've got Jacob Tremblay. I think he's a great actor. I think he'd be a good fit. But yeah, I think Fred Savage just fit that little bit better. Especially on the time. So, and like Per said, I think it wouldn't surprise me if he was in consideration. So yeah, Fred Savage.
All right, so we got 5 points for Levine, Elijah Wood with 9, Walker with 10, Tremblay with 11, and Fred Savage with 15. So that'll round it out. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I was going to point this out though. For Acres of the Movies, are you trying to troll us? Gabori Sidby is
Gabri
Kevin?
Sidby? What? No.
No.
He's like a big black girl.
You need an actual kid. You need a kid.
You need a
That's the
kid.
spirit
Yeah.
of the movie.
Yeah, Acres is a little weird. You're casting like Rosie O'Donnell for a bunch of these roles. Like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
It's weird.
But Brian, that's a pretty good one. Henry Thomas, that could work. Yeah.
If I were to go to the 80s route, yeah, Henry Thomas.
Yeah, the 80s route.
Henry Thomas could be dope.
Yeah.
All right. So that'll do our recast. Let's recap all of our picks, at least the ones that won out the point totals here for this one. So for Gus, Jordan took that one with Jack Black. For Old Man Marley, Richie got his one with Bruce Dern in there. So Bruce Dern for Marley. Jordan takes it again for Uncle Frank as J.K. Simmons, right in there. For Buzz, my pick of Judd Nelson, circa 80s Judd Nelson.
That's a perfect recast there.
Yes. So Peter, the father, we've got the pick of Paul Reiser. So Chris getting a little Paul Reiser in there. So nicely done there. And Cake McAllister, my pick of 80s era Sally Field, took that one. For Marv, Chris just barely won that one out with Will Arnett taking that one. For Harry, we've got my pick taking it out with Bob Hoskins as that one. And then for Kevin, we've got Fred Savage. So pretty interesting cast there. Sorry, Jonathan. You struck out, man.
Sometimes it happens, man. It happened to me last time.
It happened to Richie last time. It's happened to Richie. It's happened to me with a lot of my 70s
I'll just
picks.
put all my anger in
Happened to me
Leo.
once.
I'll just put all my anger in Leo. That's all.
Sorry, buddy. Hey, it happens, man. But at the same time, we're just here to have fun with the movie and celebrate this movie because we all love it and we're just having a good time and just throwing out some hypotheticals. So it's a good time, man. So let's start wrapping it up because it's been a pretty long episode, but a fun episode. So we'll get our plugs and we'll wrap it up for the evening. So Chris, we'll start with you. Anything you want to throw out there for a plug? What you got?
I'm trying to think as far as plugs go. I mean, I guess I can promote what I'm excited for and why I was late to this episode. We filmed a Christmas special of Pirates on the Beach, and we will be editing it and putting it up on YouTube. So I'm pretty excited for it. I think it's pretty awesome. I'm hopefully excited to be on more episodes here. I'm glad I was able to be on 2 this week. That was awesome. A lot of fun.
Yeah.
Well, I guess not 2. There was, there was a little bit of a mix-up on my part. But seriously, I love this movie so much. It was a lot of fun to be on here, guys. Also,
for all, so you did that.
Yes. But also, I'm working on doing more Twitch streaming from my PS5, and hopefully maybe figuring out the Switch. So check me out on at a Casablanca Kid 84 on there. Yeah, but that's kind of what I can kind of think to promote right now. Yeah, definitely. But that was a lot of fun, guys. Thank you for having me on.
Thanks for being here, Chris. Appreciate it.
Yeah, totally.
Richie, what you got?
Yeah, I love being on here. This is one of my favorite shows to do. Obviously, look, you got to let other people have a go. So I'm not going to ask you on every one of them. But hey, if you ever need to back up your Anchorman one, I will. But also obviously let other people have a go too. But I'll still be in the chat. Killing it in the chat. But then I'm like, damn it, I'll but yeah, you can find. Movie Hero doing tournament fights, your anchor, and also Movie Hero, Wheel of Movies,
This coming week. Yeah.
This coming week for me. Yeah, this week because Monday. This week for me, V for Vendetta. To V for Vendetta with be joined by Wolfman. So that'd be fun revisiting that. And other than that, I'll probably be doing. Throughout the week I'll be doing the trivia JPR. I'll be on the 997 championship episode of tournament fights. So it should be fun. Lonely Marks, we'll be doing best dresses of 2020s, Will Ospreay and friends. And So yeah, check that all out. And yeah, I'm around.
All right. Well, yeah. Sorry about that, Jonathan, but we enjoyed having you here. We know you love this movie.
Yeah,
We know that. I mean, it was on your
Oh,
64. Just it depends. Sometimes it depends on the panel, depends on the picks. But we want you to have fun. So hopefully you'll be willing to come back for another one in the future if we get another one of your
Yeah,
favorites.
sure.
So
Sure, I
Yeah.
will. I'll just work
yeah,
harder.
but we like having you on the show, man. So thank you for being here. And
I'll
yeah,
Yes.
if you got anything to plug, throw it out there,
Thank
please.
you, man.
All right, yeah. Okay, let's get the anger out of the way. I'm moved on. Anyway, so you can find me. No, it was great to be back here. I mean, great to be here for the first time. I love this movie. I was just watching, simultaneously Home Alone 2, and it's almost over, by the way. So great, yeah. Yeah, you can find me on social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, Threads, Blue Sky, and the different variations of Caro. I promise you, I don't have snakes on my name.
Snakes. I don't know no snakes.
Yeah, you can find me there. And the only thing I have going on is I'll be in 1997. Yeah, tournament. Yeah.
1997. Yeah, that'll be starting this week. So
This week. I'll be on Wednesday, I think. I think that's it. But
yeah, Wednesday we got you.
yeah, that's interesting year.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, like after the Oscars, I was like, okay.
Like very mediocre year, I'll say that. It's not the worst year, but
It's not the worst year, but it's like a year of interesting and confounding films.
Yeah.
To be quite honest. But yeah, but that's pretty much it, unless there's some last minute things. But no, it's great to talk about this movie. One of my beloved films in my childhood and continuously in my adulthood. So, thank you.
No,
Yeah.
Appreciate you. Jordan, any quick plugs?
Yeah, I mean, I won't go into the long-winded ones like I do sometimes, but just a few quick ones. Yeah, let's see, we're taking a little break once it comes to Christmas, just like for not like too long. We just won't have a Tuesday show because of Christmas, but we will have the best of 97, like we talked about. That'll be a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, so we'll have a big dose of a lot of different things right before Christmas. We'll have that, and then me and Austin have a teams match over on Lights Out on trivia on Tuesday, so we'll be doing that. Forget who we're facing, but go check that out. And then yeah, we'll be doing our championship episode for our holiday mystery tournament the Friday after at Christmas. And then we'll be doing our most anticipated of 2025, because that's always one to look forward to. And yeah, I mean, that you can find all of our social media and everything down in the description. But I'll just say that if you haven't subscribed yet, definitely subscribe to the channel, because it really helps us out a ton. And then if you already are subscribed, then share it out with someone else and tell someone else to subscribe, because it would really mean a lot. It would help us out. And yeah, but that's all I'll plug today. So yeah, we'll leave it at that.
I think they switched our Lights Out thing. I'll talk to you about that.
Okay.
Hello, Jordan. So
Well,
about that.
Stay tuned to the Lights Out. They have a Facebook group too. You can go follow them to see when the matches are. So.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, no, you can finally mostly be co-hosting everything on here, tournament fights, tier ranker fights, all that stuff. Yeah, like Richie said, me and him do Wheel of Movies on every other Thursday, and yeah, we'll be doing V for Vendetta this week, so you can check that out. We'll be doing just a deep dive, hour-long discussion of that. And yes, our next recast episode that I'll be hosting, we don't have quite a date yet, but it'll be in January, and we will be doing Anchorman. Yeah, we want to do a comedy, and we try to find one that has a really good ensemble. So that's going to be another tricky one, because that movie is very well cast and very funny. Yeah, kind of trying to recast that.
Ridiculous cast.
Why I feel like all the people in that movie are still very prominent, which is why I'm going to go period piece 70s with that, and maybe just go with the actors. But we'll see how that goes, Jonathan. So don't worry, I'll probably strike out very hard on that episode. So don't worry about that.
No, I think that one's really, really difficult. More difficult than this one.
That one's going to be very difficult. Yeah, because I think all those roles are pretty perfectly cast, and yeah, finding alternates for that's going to be a little tricky. But we're going to do our best.
And we talked about maybe doing. I mean, it's not locked in, but I think we probably will because I really like the idea of doing Princess Bride in February just for some romantic stuff.
I would
Yeah,
like
kind of romantic.
Princess
Yeah, so
Bride.
yeah. Speaking of Fred Savage, I mentioned it. Yeah, with the Princess
Yeah.
Bride, we'll have to recast him. Yeah, he'll be one of the people we recast.
I would like to be in Princess Bride, hopefully.
Oh yeah, totally.
Maybe.
Yeah, so I just thought about that one. It's kind of a romantic one, but it's got the fantasy elements and some very eclectic characters and whatnot that you can recast. So yeah, that might be a fun one to recast for February. So possible one. Again, it's not completely locked in, but it's kind of, me and Jordan talked about behind these, probably like a 75-80% chance at this point that we're rolling with Princess Bride. So yeah, that's probably going to be our February. And beyond that, we'll figure it out. And we'll see what happens. So, but yeah, that'll give you a little preview of what we got coming for recast. Because usually we do these about once a month. We just doubled up this month because we wanted to do some Christmas stuff, and we had one action, one kind of comedy. So doubled up on that. And yes, maybe scaling ahead, way ahead, Jordan, to next season. We'll do Christmas Vacation, but next Christmas.
Yeah, we'll do it next Christmas.
We'll do it next.
That's one that I definitely want to do. So
we got to save some of those roles. Maybe we'll do like a Christmas Story. I feel like you could do that one.
Oh yeah.
Christmas Story.
It's an older movie.
Fun.
Yeah, you could do you could do that, and even recast.
He would do Home Alone 2. That'd be
Jingle All the Way.
Yeah, you can
Well, come up with all different picks. Sure, we'll see what happens. All right, hear me out. Gary Busey for Marv, saying
yeah, right.
And then Jonathan, you could actually cast Danny McBride as Marv, so you could just switch it back up.
Yeah, you can switch it up.
And I'll give you my votes.
Yeah.
So that'll wrap it up for tonight here on the Movie Hero Network. So thank you everybody who tuned in live and everybody who tunes in on the replay. We really appreciate it. We love doing recasts, so thanks everybody for supporting the show. We appreciate it. And yeah, we got more stuff coming at you in 2025 for recasts. So we got plenty of movies, and I got a note app of all these movies we've got ideas of that have great ensembles, because it needs to be a great ensemble. It can't just be a 1-2 person movie. It's got to be at least 6-7 really good roles minimum. But we'll be doing a whole bunch of them. So we'll keep that in consideration.
Absolutely.
So keep it tuned in for recast. We'll have a lot of fun. So we'll wrap it up for tonight there. So for Chris Scott, for Richie, for Jonathan Caro, for the Movie Hero, Jordan Anderson, I have been Austin Pezhel, your host this evening. And we'll see you next time.
Yeah.
Where are you going? We're gonna miss the plane!
When the McAllister family left on their Christmas vacation.
You guys give up, or you're thirsty for more?
From John Hughes.
I got a feeling this is going to be your best Christmas ever.
A family comedy without the family. Home Alone.
Are you here all alone?
I'm 8 years old. You think I'd be here alone? I don't think so.